The following is a presentation of Sports South.
Sophomore quarterback Brandon Bonaventure leads the Paladins of Furman into Kidd Brewer Stadium in Boone, North Carolina to battle Appalachian State today. Furman has shown a strong offensive game with the pass and the run, but their celebrations have been dampened by a porous defense that they've got to shore up for today to let the offense ramble for a victory. For Appalachian State University, a bevy of running backs and receivers have produced a quick 3-1 start for 1994. And fifth-year senior quarterback Andy Arnold hopes to ramble for another victory today on Sports South. Boone, North Carolina, the campus of Appalachian State University, as Sports South presents this week's Southern Conference Game of the Week. Jerry Moore and his Mountaineers of Appalachian State roll out the red carpet for Bobby Johnson and the Paladins of Furman, and a big game for both of these teams. Hi again, everybody. Sam Smith, along with Ben Utt, a veteran of 8 years of National Football play with the Colts, is joining us here in Boone. If you looked in the dictionary for a perfect day for college football, this would be the one that you dial in. A big day, however, for both of these teams, Ben.
Yes, Sam, especially for Furman University. There's only 11 points that separate a 1-3 season they're having now from a 3-1 season.
And Appalachian State trying to stay pace with Marshall and Western Carolina as the conference leaders, and they need a victory today. For Furman, they're starting for the second straight week a quarterback who's shown well last week despite the loss in the greatest name of the Southern Conference, Brandon Bonaventure. Let's start with him for Furman.
Brandon is a kid that was starting for the starting quarterback position earlier in the year. He's filling in for Philly Jones, who broke his wrist 2 weeks ago, and they're going to look for him to have another really big day like they did last week. He threw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and ran for 1 more. And on defense, look for Cavis Reed, who's really the heart and soul of their defense.
And he'll have to be a good one today because Appalachian State has some great receivers. Other side of the coin, Andy Arnold is their starting quarterback, but he wants to get the ball to a very good one, Chip Hooks, and he can run.
Yeah, this is a very exciting offense. Chip Hooks is averaging over 5 yards per carry, and he's one of these do-all kind of running backs. He's got great moves. He's got great speed. And on defensively, look for number 50, the middle linebacker, Joe DiBernardo, who last week his defense, they held East Tennessee State to 26 yards total offense and had 11 sacks.
So the big defense of Appalachian State against Furman University here today in the Southern Conference Game of the Week. Settle back and enjoy our kickoff from Boone, North Carolina after this timeout. Southern Conference Football Game of the Week is brought to you by U.S. Air. U.S. Air, we know it begins with you. And by First Union.
And the tackle number 53, Brad Hoyt. In the end,
welcome back to beautiful Boone, North Carolina. A perfect setting for a college football game. Sam Smith along with Ben Utt. Furman in the white as they're traveling today. Have won the toss of the coin but have deferred to the second half. And you see they've had good success in this series so far, including winning the last 2 games. And interesting enough also, Ben, they're 7-2-2 here at Kidd Brewer Stadium, so they've done very well in Boone. They will kick off, and back deep for the black-clad Mountaineers of Appalachian State, 2 good ones. Number 47 is Don Blue. Number 4 is Jamie Coleman. Coleman is on the near side, and Blue on the far side as they get ready to kick off. And kicking off for Furman is a senior, Ben Schneider, from Travelers Rest, South Carolina. He's 6'2", 165. Saw him practicing yesterday and was getting some pretty good distance on the kick. Even though he's slight of build, has a pretty lively leg, and he'll have to do it because both these guys back, Blue and Coleman, are able, Ben, to give you a good run back, and that'd be a good positive start for ASU.
Absolutely, Sam. Both Blue and Coleman have had kickoff returns for over 30 yards so far this season, and they have App State has really put a lot of emphasis on this kicking game and all special teams all the way around.
Coleman has averaged 32 on his 4 kickoff returns. A couple of kickoff returns for Blue, and he's averaged 23. Snyder's kick end over end comes to Coleman on the near side. Fumbles it momentarily. Has a pretty good wall ahead of him, and it breaks down in a hurry, and he goes down in a heap. And the first man reaching him to make the stop, number 26, is Seth Rambley. Rambley making the stop for Furman. It's 1st and 10 for ASU at their own 21-yard line. The quarterback coming out is a fifth-year senior, Andy Arnold, out of Bristol, Tennessee. Matter of fact, he delighted in going up nearby to Johnson City, Tennessee, in the win over East Tennessee State last week. The numbers on him with a couple of touchdowns and 2 intercepts, with over 300 yards passing so far. They run out of the eye. We'll set the entire lineup for you in a moment. They split the back nine with, once again, Hooks, who gets the first call, number 33. Hooks, he can be dangerous in the open field. Really doesn't possess a great deal of open field speed, but has a great first step and moves extremely well.
See what else he has, Sam? He's got a great offensive line up front, opening some holes.
Let's take a look at those starting. This is the front line, and you see some good ones down there, including Brad Ort, who, by the way, is making his 27th consecutive start today. The backs and receivers, you see Arnold, Scott, and Hooks. Blue, Otis Smith, and Vollmer, a fine tight end, will be those they'll be looking for if they go to the air. A game in the last play of second. It's 2nd down and 3 for the Mountaineers. Quick handoff, first back through. Flag is down as Scott got the early call. Goes near enough for the first down, but we'll wait and see what happens with the flag and the play. One of the things about Scott here, Ben, is the fact that he actually is a pure tailback. But because of Chip Hooks, they moved him to fullback to get both those guys in the game at the same time.
That's the kind of problem you want if you're a head coach. You want to know, hey, who am I going to play? So now you got 2 good guys in there. And the fact of the matter is, Damon Scott is tough, too. He will block all day long. He can carry the ball when he needs to.
The penalty goes against Appalachian State, so we're about the possibility of a first down there. And they'll march it back 5 yards.
In fact, Sam, one of the reasons that Johnny Smith went on over to the defensive secondary, he was actually a fullback last year, but saw that he had really no place to play because of the depth there in the backfield.
So the procedure penalty against ASU backs them up 5 yards, brings up the 2nd down. They'll need approximately 8 yards for the first down, and out of the shotgun comes Arnold. They say they run it back there to give him a little better view of the passing. You can see the pocket starts to roll to the right, and he has to throw. The undercover man is Scott. Can't catch it, and an incompleted pass will bring up a 3rd down play. For ASU so far in 3rd downs, they're 30 of 67 for roughly about 45 yards on 3rd down conversions. And that time the pocket just totally broke down, and Arnold had to rush that one out of there.
Good backside pursuit by Furman's defense, and that's what they're going to have to do all day long is really try to put some pressure on the quarterback, take something away, either the run or the pass.
You see, they do normally run the 5-2 with the deep backs, and Hintz is a great one, a former Southern Conference Player of the Week and a National Conference Player of the Week. For some action earlier in the year on the 3rd down play. Out of the shotgun is Arnold again. He's looking deep, got plenty of time to throw. Intended for the tight end Vollmer. And right up over the top, coming up to make the defensive stop and played well. Dropping back in the coverage was Todd Kramer, number 41, dropping as a linebacker in the coverage. Incomplete, 4th down and kick time. And Ben, one of the things that Appalachian State has done well in their 3-1 start is the fact that they've kicked the ball better. And a guy by the name of Alan Gwynn has come on in and really kicked that football for him, averaging over 41 yards, but getting some excellent hang time.
He's had one, his longest kick was 50 yards so far, Sam. He's got a good leg, really consistent also.
This one's going to be end over end. Coming up to field the football is Harrison. Harrison for Furman will take it to the 45, and that's where he's going to be knocked off his feet by the Mountaineers, and Furman will go to the attack for the first time. So with no score here in Boone, North Carolina, on a perfect setting for college football in our Southern Conference game of the week. There's no score between Appalachian State and Furman.
There's a play.
Well, a great crowd on hand, including the band for Appalachian State University. They march proudly into this beautiful stadium here in Boone, North Carolina, prior to today's kickoff as Furman comes to the attack for the first time. And this got to be one of the great names of college football. Brandon Bonaventure is the quarterback, making only his 2nd start, number 11. He has the option to audibilize at the line of scrimmage. On the give, there's a fumble. It's up for grabs. There's a scramble for it. The official's in. It looks like Appalachian State has got the first turnover of the day.
Sam, this is the kind of thing that's going to hurt Furman if they can't play really sound football. They're going to make mistakes. Appalachian State is going to continue to put the points on the board like they have the last 2 weeks.
So the fumble recovery by the middle linebacker, Joe DiBernardo. DiBernardo, their leading tackler, comes up with it as just a little smooth handoff up the middle. And they couldn't get it to McClarty. He loses it. And finally, DiBernardo gets a hold of it, and it's a 1st and 10 for ASU.
Tim, this whole linebacking core for ASU is really great. Coakley, who was last year's defensive, or I guess Southern Conference Freshman of the Year, and Larry Dennis also are just lighting up the board for defensive stats this year. Really strong across the board. Of course, you got a great defensive line there for App State also, who is really freeing those guys up to roam around, to pick up fumbles, and to make big hits.
Well, they're ruling it offsides on Appalachian State, so scrub out the fumble. As Furman gets a major break early on, will get the football right back with a 5-yard step off out inside Appalachian State territory to the 49-yard line. Stack the running backs once again. McClarty, number 34. Barney Lynch, number 43, the short back. Now they give it straight up the middle. A new back in the ball game. And running out of there is Carter. They call him LQ Carter, number 29. And he rambles for a quick opener straight up the middle. And the Furman offensive line does what they need to do. Open the big hole into the Appalachian State secondary. And they rumble it to the 30-yard line.
Just great blocking by the Furman offensive line. Just runs up there with a great bit of speed. Almost breaks this arm tackle here. There is a flag down the play. Looks like they're picking it up and going on down the field.
LaQuartney Carter, a running back, 6'9", a senior out of Atlanta, Georgia. Starting in the backfield, he has replaced Barney Lynch at the fullback and got the early call there. He comes out and lines up again and is right in front of McClarty, the deep back, and they again give it to Carter. He's met at the line of scrimmage by Sean Elliott out of Camden, South Carolina, number 91, after a gain of 2. But Furman, that quick opener up the middle, that was a big key play they needed.
It was a big key play. That's the kind of thing you want for your just for the mental stability of your team. When you're 1-3, you're trying to find something good. You lay the ball on the ground one time, you come back and you gash them.
One of the top linemen you'll see work tonight is Fisher. For Furman, watch him. He can really open up some holes, number 59. And you saw their fine wide receivers they'll try to get the ball to. Harrison and Ford in particular. Number 21 and number 81. They flank on either side of the I backfield. Again to Carter. They're going to run till it stops working. There's a flag down behind the play as he pushes and shoves down ahead to the 25-yard line. Setting the defense here for Appalachian State, William Peebles. What a game he had against East Tennessee State last week. We'll document the numbers in a moment. Leads that defensive line. We've already mentioned their outstanding linebackers, Coakley, and of course Joe came up with a fumble recovery, didn't stand, but Larry Dennis is kind of toiling in their shadow and still a good one. And look for Johnny Smith along with Matt Stevens, 2 defensive players in the secondary that will probably have to have a big day today for App State.
Matt Stevens, not to mention, Sam, last year had a personal foul that set up field goal to let Furman win the game. So you're going to see him really try to, so to speak, redeem himself for last year's mistake.
16-13 as they kicked a field goal in 1992 last year. A couple of touchdowns late for Furman. One of those went over Matt Stevens' head as he got beat for the TD. So today is kind of redemption day. And he's already said that in the locker room, fellas. I'm going to make you a big play to help us win the game. So we'll watch for that, number 45. Mark-off against Furman as now they work out of split backfields. And Bonaventure again with that line of scrimmage stacked with about 8 players. And he got out of the grasp of one and throws to the near sideline, complete to Josh Cole. Cole makes the reception. They'll gain 5 on the play. And it'll bring up a 3rd down play, and they'll need 12.
Sam, if you watch this App State defense, you'll see everybody getting up there on the line. We're talking about this being the fast break type of defense where they're going to bring everybody in the kitchen sink to do everything they can to try to disrupt the momentum and the timing of these passing patterns and the running patterns by Furman University. That was just a great passing throw.
Brings up a 3rd down and 10 now for Furman. As again, you see Appalachian State crowding that front line. Now they drop the linebackers back. Wide receivers split to the far right. Bonaventure back in the slot. Excellent protection. He throws incomplete. Bo Davis had a chance to come up with it, but he could not, as out there running was Matt Stevens from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, number 45.
Good defensive play by Matt Stevens. Get his hand in there just to knock the ball away.
Anytime Furman lines up in that pass, you know that Appalachian State's going to drop, but they're also going to try to put some pressure. Not much pressure that time, though.
Not too much pressure, but if you saw, they followed through with the defense and they hit Brandon Bonaventure right in the chin after he let go of the ball. And you're going to try and do that, make sure that he knows that the defense is alive and awake and going to be coming after him all day long.
6'6", 200-pound junior Jim Rector out of Columbia, South Carolina. It's blocked at the line of scrimmage on the field goal try. Skips out of bounds, and Appalachian State will take over just outside their 20-yard line. One of the big interior linemen got a hand up on that, and I believe they're congratulating Sean Elliott, number 91 out of Camden, South Carolina, got the hand on the field goal try.
We were talking a little bit earlier, the emphasis they put on these special teams. I'm telling you, Coach Tony Yeomans is a guy who's really firing up this special teams defense, trying to get them to do anything.
So the blocked field goal holds our score at 0-0 in the first period on our Southern Conference game of the week. Jim Rector from 47 yards away looking to give Furman an early lead, but it's blocked right in the center of the line. Number 91, Sean Elliott, got his hand up and makes the block for App State. And they get a major break early on. Rector's a guy that has excellent range in the field goal.
He's a great kicker, but if you're going to kick a field goal that long, you got to kick it kind of low. You can't kick it real high. And Sean Elliott got his hands up, blocked the thing, knocked it out of the air.
Second possession of the afternoon for Appalachian State. They get it at their own 30 after the blocked field goal. And the handoff goes to Hooks to the outside. They've run a lot of plays to Hooks as he slides down the line of scrimmage for a couple, and that's exactly what they call it. It's called a slide play. He looks inside the tackles to see if anything's open there and just slides till he finds the opening. And he's done that for 919 yards last year. And with only 78 yards this year, could become the number 2 all-time leading rusher in the history of Appalachian State behind only John Settle.
John Settle, who is here today and also getting inducted to the Appalachian State Hall of Fame. So congratulations, John.
Wide receivers coming to the outside, or the near side as you look at it, is Otis Smith, number 5. And in the slot, they work it the other way with Arnold on the keeper. Andy Arnold, who ran one in from 29 yards away last week against East Tennessee State, gets only 3 or 4 on the option, and that's exactly what they run. It's an interesting variation of their offense. He can sprint option to pass, or, of course, the great pitch back to Hooks, and that's what they like to try to do.
In that way, Sam, you got a little bit of everything. You can run it, you can throw it, you can keep it, whatever it takes to kind of get the ball up the field. In this case, they've got such a great running game that'll pull these linebackers and the rest of the defense up. Then they're going to spread the field and try and burn them deep.
Brad Ort, number 53, is the anchor of that offensive line. He's set up at right tackle as they flip-flop Blue into the slot on the left side for Appalachian State. Another third down play. They failed 0 for 1 so far this afternoon. They get it out to Blue. Blue in the secondary, but not enough for a first down. What a nice defensive play coming up to make the stop. And made the stop is Cavis Reed, the young man we talked about at the top of the show. Left quarterback with 25 tackles. And I tell you what, he was not going to let him get around him that time.
This is a defense that's really been struggling. But if you watch here in the replay, you'll see good pursuit. They're doing everything that a Furman University football team does, and that's not making mistakes and never ever quit. And they keep pursuing, and they make the tackle. In this case, Blue just didn't get across the line of scrimmage to get the first down.
Well, it's 3 and out again. Second time for this afternoon for Appalachian State as they'll kick it away. And Gwynn again will be kicking. And the man back deep again is Harrison. He watches it bounce. And it's finally going to be down at around the 10-yard line where they'll finally put the football down. And coming up to put his hands on it, put it down, is Steve Carson, the defensive lineman, a freshman out of Durham, North Carolina. And Furman, deep in their own territory, will take over. They'll spot it at the 13 with no score.
Excuse me,
To McClarty, runs to the outside, and this is a running back that has already rushed for 238 yards this year. Is the junior, 2-year letterman, 5'10", 199 pounds. He's got some good speed once he breaks the line of scrimmage and gets it outside.
Not your typical option type of running back, Sam. He's more of a blue-collar type of worker is the way he was described to me. Just a tough kid that will continue to pound it up in there, but probably doesn't have the kind of speed you'd really like to have in an option running back when he turns a corner.
You saw it quickly, that line of scrimmage just totally closed up, and that was led by William Peebles, number 58, last week's Defensive Player of the Week in the Southern Conference, as selected by the conference in U.S. Air. Here's the handoff, a little delay, trying to go a little misdirection, getting it to Carter. Coakley, the middle linebacker, sliding to the outside, making the stop there for Appalachian State. I tell you what, with those linebackers, if they get by the line of scrimmage, they're not getting much further than that.
But it's called the second layer. If you can get past the first layer, being those defensive linemen, they're not going to let you get by the second one and let you get into that defensive backfield. However, what Furman's trying to do is catch this defense because they're so aggressive, coming upfield and cutting inside or cutting back against the grain a little bit and try and gash them like we saw them do early in the game.
Bonaventure in a passing situation with a 3rd down and 7, takes a man in motion to the near side. That is Davis, and Bonaventure's on the keep. He's got the first down as he's rolled in as he reaches the 28-yard line. Jamie Coleman. He's just a sophomore out of Lawrenceburg, North Carolina. Played at Scotland County. Makes the stop for Appalachian State, but there's another dimension of Bonaventure on the little keep.
This is a great play by Brandon Bonaventure. Takes the snap, they run the option, fakes the pitch, and takes it on upfield. The one thing you really want to be careful about if you're an option team with only one quarterback left is that when your quarterback keeps it, he doesn't get blown up.
Well, I tell you what, number 79, Lee Drake out of Jacksonville, Florida, was leading that charge, and you saw him take a couple of the Appalachian State players out of there. Again to Carter. To the line of scrimmage. He's met head-on by Larry Dennis and the other middle linebacker, DiBernardo. DiBernardo, leading tackler with 47 tackles, had 15 against the Citadel. He's actually had double figures in all 4 of the games so far this year.
Too, one thing you got to watch on defense also is you got to keep an eye on William Peoples, number 58, the defensive tackle. This guy is so quick off the football. He was almost off the ball before some of Furman's offensive linemen were. It's a great get off.
It's a gain of only a yard. Second down and a yard to go. Split to the right side is Bo Davis, number 7. As they stack in the eye once again, Bonaventure, the quarterback for Furman. No score here in the first quarter. 6:39 to go as McClarty gets the call. He doesn't even reach the line of scrimmage before he runs into the black shirts. And DiBernardo, once again, the middle linebacker, makes the penetration in their fast break defense.
The fast break defense. I'll tell you what, Sam, this could be the most exciting defense in the Southern Conference right now. And when I was talking with the defensive coordinator earlier, Ruffin McNeil, and I said, well, what's your tendency? What's your tendency? He said, we don't have any tendencies. We do anything that they expect us not to do. And I'll tell you what, the play's showing. And once again, we're going to get tired of hearing Joe's name. Joe DiBernardo. You'll hear it all day.
Tell you what, we had a toss of the coin to see either Coakley or DiBernardo. If we would highlight the start of the game, we went with Joe, and he's proved good. Bonaventure running. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage. He's got open field at midfield. Dives ahead to the 48-yard line, but a flag back behind the play.
Most likely it's going to be a holding play. Any type of broken play like that, you'll see someone get pulled for holding.
Coakley finally caught up with Bonaventure, drops him down. Bonaventure is replaced Philly Jones, and you had a great opportunity to speak to Philly out with that broken wrist, and I had a chance to speak with Bonaventure as well. These are 2 outstanding young men for Furman.
I'll tell you what, Philly Jones, what a great young man. This is the kind of kid you want for a son, really. I asked him what Bonaventure does better than him. He said, well, he's actually got a much stronger arm, so he can throw the ball deeper than I can, but he's also a lot more exciting to watch.
Rather honest to a fault.
Rather honest, kind of modest, I'd say, huh?
Well, the penalty goes against Appalachian State, and it'll stand up with Bonaventure with a great run, and they get a first down.
Holding on the defense, 10 yards into the run, it'll be a first down.
So a first down on the defensive holding, and you said it was holding, but this time it goes against the Mountaineers.
Goes against the Mountaineers. Great presence of mind by Brandon Bonaventure to pull it down and get the yards, and he got a bunch of yards too.
Good look at Jerry Moore, now in his 7th year here at Appalachian State, 37-25-0 his record. He's actually been on the sidelines 31 years as a coach, 27 as a collegiate coach, formerly at North Texas State and Texas Tech before coming to Appalachian State as a head coach. Several outstanding assistant jobs along the way to kind of set him up. McClarty goes in motion. Bonaventure gets away from one tackler. And I tell you what, this kid may not have the greatest speed in the world, but he's got a little knack of knowing where the holes are and kind of filters down to the 35-yard line.
You see that he actually runs the option, gets stalled up by a couple of offensive linemen, and cuts it back. Watch him here in the replay. He takes it upfield. Coakley, of course, staring him right in the eyes, and he takes it on back to cut across the grain, pick up 4.
Elliott finally makes the stop, number 91. I tell you what, you see how quickly Coakley, number 32, was in the backfield, but what a great job by Jim Peavy. Peavy out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, came up and made a good block on Coakley to help Bonaventure gain some yardage. He does 4. It's second down and 6. Hand off again. Carter runs it up the middle, takes it over the 30 to the 29-yard line. Carter, along with another outstanding freshman, Mark Moore, have started to come in and run a lot, and replacing Lynch in particular, and McClarty at times as well. And Carter today getting the call and has done it as he runs into Johnny Smith, who makes the stop for Appalachian State, shy of a first down. What is that, about the length of a football or so? Not much. 3rd and short.
McClarty, also known as LQ. And Moore, one of the reasons that they're going to them is because they have more speed. They're going to hit the holes a little bit quicker and hopefully get through to, like we're talking about, the second level just a little bit faster.
Josh Cole goes one way, number 80. Ford goes the other as they give it to the first back through. On the short yardage situation, they fight for yardage down to the 28-yard line. center of the line, led by Coakley, one of the linebackers.
Those linebackers are all over, aren't they?
They are, and Elliott is on the bottom. Well, we're going to call his name a lot. Number 91, Sean Elliott, 6 feet 230, a junior, 2-year letterman out of Camden, South Carolina. They're going to measure it here. It again is Carter. Got it right there and ran right into Sean Elliott. By the way, when we talk about Coakley, if you remember back in not so many years ago for Appalachian State, a great linebacker, Dino Hackett, who had over 200 tackles in a single year, his senior year. They are comparing Coakley certainly to Hackett and many others who have come through Appalachian State. That's a fine comparison to a great linebacker.
I'll tell you the guy who's really kind of getting overshadowed here is Larry Dennis, number 31, the other linebacker besides DiBernardo and Coakley. But shoot, already this year he's had 33 total tackles, 7 for a loss, 5.5 sacks. He's had 8 pressures. He's had a fumble recovery and an interception. And we're not even talking about him. That tells you how good this whole defense and linebacking core is.
Bobby Johnson has given the word for his Paladins of Furman to go for it on a short and 4. And they need about a half a yard. Let's see how many Appalachian State brings on the line of scrimmage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right now. And you can bet the rest will be there. Who gets the call? Long count for Bonaventure, trying to draw him off. Now he's going to call a timeout. He was trying to draw the Mountaineers off. They didn't bite the bait. And it'll still be a 4th and short. And now Bobby Johnson will make the call. If he goes again, or if they'll bring out Jim Rector, who has an arm and a leg and certainly could get this distance. But again, he had one block a few moments ago, almost of the identical same distance he had, as they are now going to talk it over here in the first period. Good look at Bobby Johnson there with the grayish hair along the sideline, 43 years of age. And again, in his first year as the head coach of the Paladins.
It's a gutsy call by Bobby Johnson to go for this fourth and short. That's it, but it can do so much for your team. You're playing in enemy territory. You're on the road for the first time in a while. You get this first down, you keep marching down the field. If you get some points, all of a sudden you're up, you're ahead, momentum's on your side, you're feeling good. You kind of start to swing this game your way.
I tell you, another thing it does too, Ben, is the fact that their defense have had Appalachian State 3 and out, the other 2. The offense goes ahead, and what Bobby's saying, hey, if we don't make it, we're going to give it back to the defense that has played well in this first period.
Yeah, and they're going to give it back to him in pretty good field position for Furman's defense. And you're right, Furman's defense has done an outstanding job of keeping them Appalachian State off the field from scoring any points at all, or even moving down the field for that matter.
You know, we were looking at a couple of opportunities to look what the keys to the game would be. Appalachian State, Jerry Moore told me, we can't make mistakes. Certainly another one was continue to have a good, solid kicking game, and third, to establish a good running game. They have not done that as of yet. For Furman, no turnovers, pick up the blitz, and execute on defense, which they have done so far. They're going again. 4th and short yardage for the Paladins. Bonaventure with his stacked running backs behind him. He turns, handoff, first back through, and they've got it right up the middle. Barney Lynch, number 43, and he celebrates as he comes out of there for the first down.
What a great gutsy call by the coach.
Tim Sorrells, the offensive coordinator in the booth, dialing that one in, and it's just right up the middle with some good blocking.
Sam, this is nothing more than when you go and you tell your offensive line, hey, you got to want it more than they got to want it. You push them, and we'll get through there. Barney Lynch carries over, picks up some extra yards. They got the first down, and they're still moving.
By the way, Mark Graves out of Marietta, Georgia, is the starting center, replacing Mike Jordan, who's got it broken up a little bit with a concussion of last week. And here's the pitch to the outside. Comes out to Rick Ford. And Rick in the open field of the 15 falls forward to the 12. And wanted some more for the Paladins, who now look like they have found another gear as they're rolling against ASU.
Now, you notice how they're getting closer down towards the goal line, and they're opening up their passing package and their offensive package. It's a little fake pass screen back over to his left. Good blocking. Unfortunately, we wipe out one Furman guy with another Furman guy. But great blocking downfield and a fantastic run by Rick Ford. We're going to hear a lot about Rick Ford. This is a guy with a lot of talent.
Second first down of this drive, you may recall, aided by a defensive holding call against ASU. And with a first down and 10 to go at the 12-yard line in ASU territory. As Bonaventure bounces off of Sean Elliott, gets away from him to the near sideline, gets a crushing block, but he can't get away from Jamie Coleman. I want to tell you, what a block here outside. Ooh, that one hurt.
We're talking about Brian Fisher, and if you're a quarterback who's scrambling, you're looking for anything at all, you want a guy like Brian Fisher peeling back on a defensive lineman like that. Watch the scramble here in replay. Brandon's doing anything he can to try to find an opening and just save the play. But the real point of interest is right here on the peel back. You're going to see a white jersey come into the left side of your
right
screen.
There.
Boom.
Oh.
Ooh.
Nice.
And it kind of clears your ears up and gets your breathing right again. Ooh. You don't like to get the hit that hard.
Ryan Fisher, by the way, again from Belton, South Carolina. Appalachian State is not allowed a point, as you saw the numbers there, and we are allowing less than 10 for App State. Bonaventure drugged down. First man to reaching number 60 is Chip Miller. Miller from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Gatlinburg-Pittman High School. He grabbed him by the jersey and rolls him down. It's a loss, and they'll take it back to the 15.
Just an option play, and you see Miller just getting a piece of his jersey and coming down. Brandon could have got some more yards if it was not for Miller's quickness.
You remember the old kind of the fad that went on with the tearaway jerseys that we had for several years?
Right, the tearaway jerseys. He'd have still been going.
He would have still been going. Third down, 12 yards to go for Furman. No score with only 55 seconds to go in the first period. Out of the shotgun, Bonaventure. Good protection. Look at the time. He's throwing for a touchdown. No, he caught it out of bounds. Harrison catches it on the sideline. Over there defending was Jamie Coleman, number 4. But that was a catch, but did he get any of his feet down before he stepped out of bounds? The officials right on top said no. And I tell you what, ASU has dodged a major bullet.
Dodged a major bullet, but I tell you what, Furman has sent a little message to them, Sam, telling them, we're going to do pretty much whatever it is we want to do on you. We're going to do it well.
So Rector will come in. Second try for a field goal. They'll spot it at the 22. A 32-yard try by Rector. The kick is up this time. Got plenty of distance. The officials say yes, and Furman goes on the scoreboard first. So a 32-yard field goal with 40 seconds left to go in the first period has Furman in the lead by the score of 3-0. And Rector, who is a guy that's got that excellent leg, and another that almost looked like a chip shot for him, had plenty of distance and right through the uprights.
So you can see the confidence swelling in Furman from where they started down here on their 20, moved that ball all the way down the field, actually had an opportunity to score a fantastic pass protection, a pass by Brandon Bonaventure, and a great catch by Harrison. Come back to get the points on the board. They're up first to a team that I really thought coming into this game was probably going to get dominated by Appalachian State. They look really good.
Appalachian State's defense allowing only about 237 yards per game and giving up less than 10 points a game. They were stingy for a while. Again, a defensive holding call did not help them. And the excellent play calling from here, Tim Sorrells in the booth next to us, and that of execution by the Paladins. And also, let's give credit where credit's due to Bonaventure and his offensive line to make things happen, and they lead it 3-0.
Really doing a lot of great things on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball for Furman University. When they're running kind of plain vanilla plays down here in the thick of the field, Sam, when they got closer to their end zone, they start opening up their package. They're throwing it. They're running the option more. They're looking good.
By the way, some other scores for you. East Tennessee State leads the Citadel in the third, 35-21. Marshall's all over VMI, 49-7. And Georgia Southern playing out at Western Carolina. Good game in the third period, 24-21. The Eagles on top of the Catamounts right now. Other games going on in this week in the Southern Conference. So the scoring drive, putting 3 on the board for Furman and the Paladins, and they'll kick it off as Snyder will put the toe to it. Jamison and Bell. Coleman, number 4, and Bell, number 47, are the 2 back. As Snyder approaches, the left footer has the toe into it, and it goes over the head of Bell, who catches on the run out of the back of the backfield. And once again, Blue catches it as he and Coleman looked at it and have to bring it out to the 20-yard line, wisely so, for Appalachian State. So they have been 3 and out on 2 opportunities. This will be their 3rd try to see if they can get something going against Furman, who, interesting enough, Ben, have given up 3 consecutive games of 400 yards or more in total offense in their last 3 games, winning 1 and losing the other 2. So their defense has certainly turned a corner today so far. 1st and 10 for Appalachian State. They split their wide receivers. Now split the backs, Scott and Hooks. Hooks is still the deep back, and he'll get the call. No, he doesn't. A good fake. Arnold, nice little dump-off pass. Comes to the near sideline to Don Blue out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And Blue, their leading receiver this year, latches on to another one. And he's had an excellent year of catching the ball. He's 18 catch for over 250 yards now for Appalachian State and a 1st down.
great self-fake by the offensive line and the running backs to sell motion going to the left, allowing Arnold to roll out to his right and dump the ball to Don Blue. You're going to hear a lot about Don Blue also. This is a guy that can pretty much do it all.
By the way,
play kind of guy.
Offensive coordinator for Appalachian State, Rob Best, also is in the booth. We'll give you the other people are there with him and the other coaches for Furman, and watch on from above with us. Here's the handoff to Scott. Scott battling for yardage over the 35. Will gain a couple before Clayton Gibson. Gibson, again, the linebacker out of Columbus, Georgia, makes the defensive stop, and he, too, has had himself quite a year, second in tackles with 36 so far for Furman.
He's doing very well.
And that's going to end the first period of action. So the first quarter has come to a close here in Boone, North Carolina. We started out in bright sunshine. The clouds have come over, but still a brilliant day for college football on this week and Sports South coverage of the Southern Conference. After one period, Appalachian State nothing and Furman nothing. Welcome back to start the second period of our Southern Conference game of the week. Furman leading 3-0, winning last year 27-21. The year before that 16-13. Last Appalachian State win in 91. Overtime 26-23. Two teams have had some pretty good battles along the way. Still, Furman has dominated the series, winning 16, losing 4, and they've had 3 draws. Andy Arnold back. He's airing it out for Don Blue. He makes a diving try at the 25.
Great effort by Don Blue to stretch out, really try to catch the ball just a little too far.
Claude Latson out of Dillon, South Carolina, was in there trying to make the stop. By the way, 11 tackles against Western Carolina for Latson last week. Here's a reminder, coming up tonight live, it's Ohio Valley Conference football. Tennessee State travels to Richmond, Kentucky to battle Roy Kidd's Eastern Kentucky University Colonels. Live tonight at 7 o'clock, right here, as the Blitz is on Sports South. Third down, 8 yards to go for Appalachian State, just underway in the second period. Sam Smith along with Ben Up. Glad to join you from Boone, North Carolina. Arnold back to throw. He's throwing. That was just a release fly pattern that time for Otis Smith. Smith went one way, the ball went the other, as he was isolated on a linebacker, and that one could have been for big yardage.
Could have been for big yards. I'll tell you what happened there. Furman blitzed a couple guys, and the receivers have to be on the same page as the quarterback is. They have to read that blitz and break their routes off to pick that up, and what happens, there's a little miscommunication, and the ball gets overthrown.
Boy, Furman's defensive coordinator Steve Wilson must be delighted. Third punt of the afternoon on the third possession for Appalachian State. Quinn will be kicking back to Harrison, who stands back for Furman to field this punt around his own 25. Beautiful high spiraling kick. Harrison way back inside his 10, fumbles the ball, has to fall on it at the 5-yard line. Back there covering and doing a good job for Appalachian State, number 37. That was Brian Jean. We have moved rapidly along in the start of this football game. Having a chance to visit with our down on the field announcer, Joe Pequeno, joins us once again. Joe, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Sam. And if you're Coach Bobby Johnson right now, you got to be impressed by the way the redshirt sophomore Brandon Bonaventure is moving his team. He's going up against the Southern Conference's top defense. Appalachian State has only allowed a little less than 10 points a contest. Last week against East Tennessee State, they sacked the quarterback 11 times. And so far, the redshirt sophomore is handling the pressure very well. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Joe. And that defense of Appalachian State, which, by the way, also gave up a minus 28 yards rushing against East Tennessee last week, begrudgingly gives up nothing there. It's still a second down and 10 to go at the 6-yard line on the third possession of the afternoon for Furman. A blocked field goal from 42 yards away, and then a 32-yard conversion of a field goal by Rector, and that's been our scoring so far here in the first half, as we've got 14-10 to go in period number 2. Wide receiver Harrison, number 81, to the near side. They send Rick Ford, number 21, to the opposite side, as Bonaventure again audibilizing at the line of scrimmage, changing the play. He's back to throw in his own end zone. He has to rush to get it away. He's got Coleman down there. Harrison, and it's intercepted. No. Yes, it is. It is intercepted. And a man coming back to make the intercept is going to be Matt Stevens, number 45. He said he'd make the play, and there's the big one of the day.
Said he was going to redeem himself, and there he is, right in the thick of things. I'll tell you what, Bonaventure checked off at the line. He called an audible, ran a different play, but because of the pressure, had to get the thing downfield much quicker than he would have liked to. Didn't allow his receiver to get open. Matt Stevens comes up with a great pick, though.
Just got in front of the intended receiver, Addison, that time, and makes the and makes the intercept, and they bring it back to the 41. It'll be 1st and 10 for Appalachian State, but their offense has been nothing to write home about so far, as they have had 3 consecutive punts and actually only 1 first down so far today.
Furman's defense actually looks like Appalachian State's defense has been playing. Very strong, very solid.
Furman's, for most of the year, they run what is called a 50 multiple defense. You see with the 4 down linemen right now, they'll drop one of the linebackers back into the coverage area here. So they go a 4-3 look with the 2 corners playing up near the line of scrimmage. Now the safeties inch in as they give it out to Hooks. Hooks bounce off a 1 tackler. Actually, after off the one of his own men, and gets a gain of 9, and he goes down to the 31-yard line. And that shows you the great versatility and the balance of Chip Hooks.
We were talking about that a little bit earlier at the top of the show, the kind of agility that Hooks has, also the kind of speed. When he turns this corner, gets a hand on him, doesn't slow him down there. He goes ahead and goes into a spin, heads right back upfield. You can't coach that kind of stuff, Sam. That's just something that's inborn with a running back.
Todd Kramer was there to finally clean up the plays. He got the backside help that time out of Darrell Smith, number 51. Stack the running backs with a 2nd and 1. Give it to Hooks. There's that little slide move again. Looks to the outside, looks to the inside, and has enough for the 1st down. Andre Hintz makes the defensive stop. Hintz, by the way, early this year named as the player of the week, not only the conference but by the nation against South Carolina State. Not only had 11 tackles, he had 3 fumble recoveries and 2 intercepts in the same game. 5 takeaways in a single game. Why today for the outstanding strong safety for Furman.
That's a red letter day, Sam. That's one of those days where you put it in your diary. Dear diary.
I'm sure they've got it somewhere on that wall down at Paladin Stadium, that's for sure. 1st down for Appalachian State. Offense trying to show something going here. Offensive coordinator Rob Best for Appalachian State. Stacy Searles, offensive lineman, great one down at Auburn, now here at Appalachian State, up in the booth, along with John Wiley, the secondary. Steve Patterson, assistant defensive line coach for Appalachian State, up in the booth, calling plays down to Jerry Moore and the rest of the staff on the sideline for the Mountaineers. Don Blue, number 47, in motion. Arnold in the option. Good block right at the line of scrimmage. Stepped inside of the block there, and I believe Donnie Blue was one that also opened it up. And finally, Todd Kramer, number 41, slides down the line of scrimmage and has to make the stop, but not before a 5-yard gain by Arnold.
Just a good option play. Pulls it down. Looks like he's going to throw the ball. Tucks up and follows his big guard up in the middle. Nice run.
Nicely indeed. By the way, it was Damon Scott who made the big block as well, number 43, as he had pulled out on that side and made a good contained block, giving Arnold some running room. 2nd and 5. Lone running back now is Hooks. Couple of tight end sets. They go to Hooks to the right side. And Hooks is given a couple of yards begrudgingly here by the Paladins. He gets it inside his own 20 to the 19. Mark Tate, their number 1 tackler with 46 so far this year, a junior out of Atlanta Wheeler High School, makes the stop for the Paladins of Furman. You know, you look back over the history of Furman, and there's a good look at Bobby Johnson looks on. This club has traditionally been a great defensive club, and today they're showing you that maybe they're getting these youngsters growing up.
Yeah, they've got they're definitely getting some experience there, that's for sure, and they're playing, some folks might say, way above their statistics. I'll tell you one thing, this Appalachian State offensive line is doing a great job. Some of the players don't seem to be getting down there quite the way they want to. I know they want to pick up these 1st downs.
3rd down and
they've got so much talent up there on the offensive line. I'm surprised they're not picking up the 1st downs a little bit more handily.
So after the fumble recovery, they march for a couple of 1st downs, have the Mountaineers. And at the 15-yard line, Colvin along with Tate are the 2 guys that make the stop for Furman, but not before the 1st down for ASU at the 15-yard line.
Going back to that offensive line, Sam, these guys are really versatile. They're big players. They're fast. Cadlove last year was actually playing guard. Groover was playing center. They move these guys around to take advantage of their size and their speed. And it looks now that they finally got an offense that's really in sync with each other. Scott
Cadlove is the center out of Palm Harbor, Florida. Eastlake High School snaps the ball to Arnold. They try to give it to Scott, and look at the outside speed. He steps in. Touchdown, Appalachian State.
And there go the cannons.
And you wanted me to shoot that big gun. You got to be
Sam, I asked them before the game if you could come down there and shoot that if they scored. They said, sure, bring him down.
Well, they scored. It's Scott stepping in.
Damon Scott, who really kind of toils in Chip Hooks' spotlight behind him in his shadow, takes the ball, good run, just gets it up and around the corner. This is a really tough kid, too. Will block. He can carry the ball, but is happy to block.
Jay Sutton, number 1, will try the extra point, kicking out of Alan Gwynn's hole. The kick is up, and it's good. And we've got a 7-3 ball game with Appalachian State capitalizing on a fumble recovery, the first turnover of the afternoon for Furman, to go in to take the lead by 4. We're in the second period from Boone, North Carolina. ASU, by the way, has won 23 of the last 29 of the home games. Jerry Moore, by the way, is 21-6 for ASU here. And against the Southern Conference, they are 26-5-1 on this field. It has been the friendly confines of Kid Brewer Stadium. Good end-over-end kick that time, fielded out of the end zone, and bringing it straight ahead. Josh Cole almost broke it at the 30-yard line, and just had it not been for a shoestring tackle that time, number 57 coming up, and that is Brad Wozni. He's a young sophomore out of Mooresville, North Carolina. That one could have been 6 for Furman.
That was definitely Josh Cole's longest run of the year kickoff return. His longest before this was only 21 yards. Great eyesight. Way to move inside there.
So an excellent kickoff return by Cole gives the Paladins an opportunity to move the ball from the 32-yard line where they spot it in their own territory. Excellent field position is Bonaventure. Stacked running backs again. It goes to Carter. LQ gets it out to the 35-yard line. Runs into the secondary. One of the App Step players is down on the field just to the right of your screen, getting up rather slowly now, and that is DiBernardo, the linebacker. Middle linebacker is shaken up momentarily and out of the lineup, and Rod Thomas, number 34, will replace him. And you can see some pain there by Joe as he comes to the sideline.
You hate to see that if you're App State. I was talking with Coach Bobby Johnson earlier, and I asked him, what does your team got to do to kind of turn this thing around, Sam? He said they got to play for 60 minutes. And I think that's what we need to watch for right now. How does Furman respond? Do they keep kind of chipping away? Do they keep playing the way they have been? Or do they kind of start letting that inexperience show?
Carter and McClarty stacked, and there's the big rush put on by Coakley, and Coakley comes up with a sack. Coakley gets his 5th sack of the year and makes the big one against Bonaventure, and loss in the play of 6 yards.
Now you're seeing what they call it the fast break defense. Everybody comes up and everybody tries to break through there. Going with a big sack. And once again, one of the linebackers, Coakley.
So Coakley with 5 sacks. DiBernardo had 4 before going out with the injury, and 5.5 for the other linebacker, Dennis. They're a terrorizing trio for App State. Out of the shotgun, Bonaventure. 3rd down and 11. A flag is down. That should probably be a holding as Bonaventure goes down, and it's going to be William Peebles, number 58. Peebles hailing from Raleigh, North Carolina, makes the sack. And there's a Furman player that is injured, and the flag will be described here to the captains of Appalachian State.
This is just great defensive pressure by App State. And if you watch number 39, Jeff Green for App State, just absolutely runs over Lee Drake, the right tackle. Just a great pass move, but unfortunately Drake's still laying down on the ground.
Peebles,
make sure he's okay.
One that finally finished it up on the sack, as you see the medical staff here for Furman hustling out. And now it's going to be an official's timeout as they are looking, and that does look like either the left knee or the ankle. And while they administer to one of the Paladins down here for Furman, we're going to be back with more of our Southern Conference Game of the Week from Boone. Our score, Appalachian State 7 and Furman 3. Well, you see the scoreboard area and a beautiful end zone here at Appalachian State and Kid Brewer Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Furman, by the way, trailing by the score of 7-3, trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak for the first time since back in 1979 when they opened up the season as 0-5. Last week's Defensive Player of the Week is selected by the Southern Conference and U.S. Air. William Peebles, look at the numbers he had against East Tennessee State, including those 4 sacks. A punt coming out of there to Don Blue of App State. Tries to come one way, goes back the other. A lot of east-west running. Finally got himself going north and got a few yards as he goes up to the 45-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for App State. Some
really smart blocking on that punt return by App State, not to just get a clip. The guy held him up, just kind of let him run by, let Don Blue go ahead and make his move. There's a flag down the play, though.
Good look at Jerry Moore there. Talked to Jerry about all of the great places he's been. Let me give you an idea of SMU assistant coach, Nebraska assistant coach, Arkansas. All the time as their fine offensive coordinator, doing a great job for Tom Osborne and many of the others. But he said he's delighted to be in the mountains here at Boone, North Carolina. It's been a very, very comfortable 6 years for him. He said he'd like to have many, many more. Ask him how long he was going to coach, and he said until they throw me away.
Illegal block in the back by the return team during the return, 10 yards. It'll be a first down.
Sam, I thought he disguised it pretty well. I guess not good enough, huh?
He didn't do it as well. Back to the 35. It'll be Appalachian State's first and 10 to go. Updating quickly some of the scores from around the Southern Conference. East Tennessee now pouring it on the Citadel, 49-28 in the fourth. 49-7 Marshall on top of VMI in the fourth. And Georgia 7 has a 10-point lead over Western Carolina, 31-21 also in the fourth quarter of the Southern Conference games this week. Back to throw, Arnold. On this first and 10, throwing the blue. They had it well set up on the near sideline. A couple of linemen holding their position and coming downfield along with Scott. But Blue, the pass just out of his reach, incomplete.
And Andy Arnold is beside himself right now because he knows he had that play set up perfectly. There was blocking out front. There was a good misdirection fake. And Blue standing out there and the ball was thrown too far upfield for him to get.
By the way, it looks reasonably good for Lee Drake, who again had the knee injury a moment ago. We'll get a progress on him on Furman. And also on Joe DiBernardo, the middle linebacker for App State. He is on the bench, so he has not gone to the locker room with that bad hand yet. Here's the little draw coming straight ahead to Hooks. And Hooks rambles for a first down as he moves it out to the 47-yard line. And now the hard hitting is taking its toll along the line of scrimmage as now an Appalachian State player is down and he's starting to writhe in pain. It looks like it's going to be Canup, who is the center in this play for App State.
The offensive center, Scott Cadlub, gets hurt on the play, but good blocking. Before he goes down, he actually throws a really good block to open up the seam right up the middle for Chip Hooks to run up there, pick up some good yardage.
You know, Chip Hooks, it's interesting. I was here during his freshman year doing a game, a couple back-to-back games for Appalachian State. Our television normally we go off on the half hour, and it turned out we went by the half hour. We had to fill to the top of the hour, and Chip Hooks was my first interview on the field. We talked to him for about 10 minutes, and this is a freshman who'd never been on television, but a great interview for Chip Hooks as you take a look at Cadlub, who is down right now. Scott coming out of Palm Harbor, Florida, and has been really kind of an anchor of a pretty good offensive line here for App State.
Very good offensive line, an offensive line that has really gelled together this past year. Really over the offseason is when it started. They all came back here. 58 App State players stayed here during the offseason just to work out together, get everything down that Coach wanted to get down. Now this injury that happens on the interior line like that, there's so many bodies flying around, Sam. It's really hard to say just exactly what happens. You get leg whipped. First of all, you're playing on artificial turf, which is the first minus you check on. But you hate to see things like this happen, especially with your center, because he's the leader of that offensive line. He's the guy down there that's making the calls. He's making adjustments as Furman's moving in and out of those gaps.
By the way, the rug here at Appalachian State will be torn up. They'll have a brand new carpet down here next year. They're also going to work on the track. So we'll have a brand new look here at Appalachian State the last year for them to play on this AstroTurf that's down now. After Hooks has rambled, a new center is checked into the lineup, and that is going to be Tony Bequette. Bequette snapping the ball back, and Arnold pitches to Hooks. Hooks trying to turn the corner on the outside, and boy, he ran into Latson, number 14, and Latson and company would not let him turn that corner. Boy, they strung that out very nicely.
If you're a head coach, that's what you want your cornerbacks to do. As soon as they see that play developing to the outside, and you know it's not a pass play, you come up hard on the outside. It's exactly what Claude Latson does. He puts a pretty good stick on Chip Hooks. Doesn't come from the bottom of your screen. Boom. Whenever you see their heads kind of snap like that, Sam, it's usually a pretty good hit.
I would imagine. Number 47, Clayton Gibson, also coming in to help finish it up. Hooks, by the way, needed only 78 yards to move in ahead of Richie Melchior, young man out of West Charlotte High School in Charlotte, North Carolina, is the number 2 all-time behind John Settle here at App State. Here's the pass, goes over the middle, it's complete. Down to Otis Smith, and Smith takes it into Paladin territory at the 34-yard line. Hence making the stop there for Furman. A great story for Otis Smith. He had actually left school. The younger brother of Anthony Smith, who played here, they talked him into coming back on full scholarship, and now they're paying some dividends.
Otis Smith, who kind of bookends with Don Blue. These are both really big play type of receivers. They can break it wide open whenever the ball comes to them.
Inman, South Carolina grad. 1st and 10 for ASU. The clock at 7:55 in the second period. The Mountaineers, clad in their home black and gold, lead it 7-3. Arnold and Hooks. Hooks can't get away. Again, there's Gibson, number 47, out of Columbus, Georgia, Hardaway High School. 6'2", 230. Number 2 tackler on this team, and he's adding up some numbers today, Ben. He's doing a good job.
He's doing a great job, and they're going to have to get play out of Gibson and also their other inside linebacker, Jeff Norman, on any of these running plays to Chip Hooks. If they want to try to slow him down, as soon as the play starts to string out, they've got to shoot those gaps and try to get into the backfield and bring him down there and not let him get that upward momentum going.
Well, where's the D? Well, Furman had problems the last 4 out of the last 5 over 400 yards, but App State's not getting that today. Furman's giving it up begrudgingly. Blue in motion. They're looking for Blue. He's going long, does Arnold. He's throwing for Smith. He's got it. Touchdown, Appalachian State. .7:01 to go before halftime, and the fans here at Boone have something to celebrate. And as you see, it's Arnold on a perfect strike going down to Otis Smith.
Great cut block by the running back to get the outside linebacker's hands down to open up the passing lane. Nice protection, throw into the end zone. You can get 6 points like that all day long. That's how you draw it up on the chalkboard.
And Sutton's extra point is up and good, and Appalachian State has jumped out to a 14-3 lead now with 7:01 to go here in period number 2. So the defense of Furman, and one of the problems they've had this year, Ben, and mostly in the second half, but now it's showing at the latter part of the first half, is not a lot of depth, and they have had a lot of injuries. And also, did you know against Clemson they lined up with 45% of their players, 45% had never played a college football game before this year. So that is some youth that are trying to grow up in the trenches for them.
Well, that's exactly what Coach Bobby Johnson was talking about when he said, I need my guys to play 60 minutes. Unfortunately, they don't have that kind of experience where they really know how to, kick them when they're down, so to speak, or, once you got the grave dug and there's a body in there, you got to kick the dirt back over them. Instead, they kind of play till they're doing well, like they did last week when they were up against West Carolina. And then you let them come back and you win the game for them. So it's just a matter of inexperience. That has a lot to do with your talent on a college football team, how quickly your players mature.
Well, the black and gold fans are celebrating for the moment, but I hasten to remind you that Furman is 7-2-2 in the 11 games that they have played against Appalachian State here and lead this series. Again, 16-4-3. It is a proud tradition team, youth or not. Furman is always Furman. I guess that was the quote in the paper today.
Furman is Furman. And they have not lost here since 1984, so, they like playing here in Boone.
Number 6 is Tate. Number 80 is Cole, and Josh will field it. And what a kickoff that was by Quinn. That sucker just kept carrying almost to the end of the end zone. It'll be brought out to the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for Furman. And boy, what an asset that is to have a kickoff man that puts in the end zone.
When you got a cannon like that, you don't need guys to go down and make tackles.
Joe Pequeno downstairs. Joe.
Yeah, we talk about more injuries for Furman. They've accumulated another one. Freshman left tackle Lee Drake down. He's got a slight sprained ankle. They have him taped up. They have some ice on him right now. They'll know if he'll be back in the ball game at halftime. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Joe. 5th possession of the afternoon for Furman. They put a field goal on for their only score, trailing 14-3. They get it 1st and 10 at their own 20. Again, Carter and McCarty are the running backs. McCarty gets the pitch, and he's not going anywhere. The fast break defense is starting to really show up, and that's Johnny Smith coming from the free safety, making his 36th tackle of the year, the senior 3-year letterman, again making a great play for App State.
And Sam, as we were talking a little bit earlier, if you watch McClarty go to turn the corner here, the one asset he really doesn't have is great speed. What you want to have is that kind of upward speed that you can get to turn that corner and get some more yards. Of course, in that situation, Johnny Smith, that's just a wide open field tackle. Great defensive play.
Both of the safeties, free safety, again, Johnny Smith, and the strong safety, Jamie Coleman, are starting ever so slowly to hitch up at the line of scrimmage and just try to play men one-on-one, and they do here. There is Matt Stevens back and almost came up with a second interception as they were throwing deep that time to Josh Cole. And Stevens, who made an intercept that led directly to a touchdown by Appalachian State, just missed one again at midfield.
And Matt Stevens against North Carolina A&T had a touchdown on an interception, ran it all the way back for an interception. So he's a guy that's got a nose for the ball.
Stevens, 11 interceptions, make that 12 now for his career. 4 for the year, makes him one of the leaders among the Southern Conference defenders. Here for Appalachian State, he has been a real bell cow today on defense that finally has started to put it together here in the second quarter as Furman's offense has started to sputter now. Bonaventure trying to get it back on gear, and he goes to Cole. Cole underneath the defense has a first down as he moves it out to the 34-yard line. Nice little slant move by Cole for the first down.
Nice little slant move across the inside, picks up the first down. Gets hit and the ball pops out, but that's ruled the ball making it, the ground making it come out. And once again, Joe DiBernardo in on the stop too. We knew he was too mean to sit out there on the bench. Great slant pattern.
He and Coakley both coming in the short drop, but both were late as Cole got right in behind him and made a great cut across the middle. Offensive coordinator Tim Sorrells making a call from the booth here for Furman. Bonaventure looked for a little shovel pass inside. It was not there. He tries to throw it upfield. It's batted down, and the man that put it down was Peebles, and now they may have an intentional grounding here on Bonaventure. And let's see, they may also have a late hit on the quarterback, so there's two sides of that coin.
It is. It's an intentional grounding.
Yep. Actually, the play was set up, if I'm not mistaken, was to the tight end, Luther Broughton, coming across the middle. They were going to shovel pass into him, but that was completely taken away by the penetration of Appalachian State.
And that's what that fast break defense does. Gets a lot of bodies upfield to try to disrupt any kind of timing plays you may have. Luther Broughton is a guy that's got fantastic
grounding. That's 5 yards. It's spotted foul. Lost it down.
Luther Broughton is a guy that's got great ability, but we haven't heard much about him today.
So you can see Bonaventure just spiking that into the turf. Truly, Peebles did hit him after the pass was away, but the intentional grounding had already been made. The snap from Graves back to Bonaventure. He's throwing to the outside. It bounces in the air. And coming up to have a double try, it was Tony Perry, number 25. Perry, a junior, 2-year letterman out of Winston-Salem. And he's Forsyth High School and had 2 tries and intercept, but couldn't get either one of them.
If you watch the pass, looks like Tony Perry is really watched. Got a good blitz coming in from Joe DiBernardo. Looks like Tony Perry had a pretty good break on the ball. Just wasn't quite in position for it.
Overthrew one receiver, Rick Ford, and underthrew the other, Bull Davis. As you look at Reed.
Is that James Reed?
That was Reed, a linebacker for Furman. Back to throw, Bonaventure. He throws underneath. It goes to Cole, and Cole was looking upfield and saw Dexter Coakley, number 33, closing ground on him. Heard the footsteps and could not latch on. It'll bring up a 4th down and punt with 22 yards needed for a first down. And now the defense has the crowd on their feet here at Boone.
Sam, this play doesn't really matter. They were 3rd and 1,000 away, so throwing it 10 yards really wasn't going to make up the difference other than give them a little bit better punt position.
Well, after Furman had done a reasonably good job getting at least 2 field goal tries in their first 2 possessions now, they've had an intercept and have punted away, this being the 2nd consecutive punt. And the punt is out of there, pretty nicely done by Jody Wade. Don Blue for the reception here for Appalachian State. There is a flag down as Blue takes it over midfield into Furman territory, but the flags at the moment look like they could go against Appalachian State with a block, illegal block, and could step that one back after the return. There's also another Furman player that is down and getting up slowly, and that's Don Blue. Blue's kind of like the graybeard of this receiving corps. He is the senior of that group. 2-year letterman out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. The rest of them are youngsters. And the guy that plays behind him is a guy they really have a great deal of credence for as far as what he might be able to do. His name is Clyde Everett. He's 6'3", 180, great hands, a redshirt freshman out of Laurinburg, North Carolina, Scotland County, and they say he really can catch the football.
And there's another guy, Nate Abrams, number 27, right, can also play the spot. So when I was talking with Rob Best, their coordinator, I asked him, so what's your real strong point there? He said, well, I think the offensive line is the best, but we got great depth at our specialists.
So a couple of penalties going against Appalachian State. One grabbing a face mask. The other was an illegal block. And, of course, Furman has the option. And getting that explained to him is Todd Kramer out of Marietta, Georgia, Wheeler High School. 6 foot, 220-pound senior, 2-year letterman. defensive captain this afternoon for the Paladins. You know, Bobby Johnson taking over as the head coach for the Paladins at Furman. He was there for 16 years as an assistant, as their defensive coordinator. They had some great stats. I mean, they were like leading the nation in defense almost every year.
On the line of scrimmage, on the black team, it'll be penalized. Its previous spot, it's not a post scrimmage. It'll be 15 yards and an automatic first down. The block in the back on the return by the black team is declined.
That's a lot of penalties, Sam.
That was, and one over.
Need a note card.
And so they drop back and pick up some flags now, and we'll wait and see where they officially put this football down. And again, they're going to march it off from the previous line of scrimmage, which was back at the 18 after the step off. And again, they'll have the 4th down play again here for Furman. There's a good look at Bobby Johnson as he's down on the field, and so is Joe. Joe?
Well, Sam, the injuries are really starting to mount on the offensive side for both ball clubs. Talked to Andy Massey, the head trainer for the Appalachian State Ball Club, and he told me that center Scott Cadlib will be down and out for the rest of the game. He has a sprained ankle and will not be seeing playing time in the second half. Back upstairs. Thank
you, Joe. So Cadlib again going out with the injury. Tony Bequette has replaced him in center for Appalachian State, as now it's going to be an automatic first down here for Furman after all has been said and done. And Bonaventure, he's throwing deep. It is Harrison who had it and dropped the football. Adric Harrison out of Thomasville, Georgia, had it in his sights, and as a matter of fact, had beat the deep backs. And in this particular case, Johnny Smith, number 20, also dropping back as well, and he had them both beat. And Dennis was the other man dropping back on it.
Watch Bonaventure throws the long ball, and as we said earlier, even Philly Jones said that Bonaventure's got the strong arm to go downfield. And the thing that the receivers have been doing for Furman, they've been learning not to be possession receivers. They've been learning how to break it out downfield and really try to pick up the big yardage.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Bonaventure in trouble and dropped. First man to reach him, number 60, Chip Miller. Also in there again is Sean Elliott, number 91, as they collaborate from defensive ends, and the sack is on, and I believe that's number 3 of the afternoon.
Watch this now, Sam. As Bonaventure steps back, what happens is the pocket begins to collapse. Instead of stepping up to let those two defensive ends go behind him, he steps off to the side, runs right into the pressure, and takes the sack. You got to put a little bit of that on Brand.
So that's a loss of the play. Right at 7 yards, so it's 3rd down and 17 to go. Bonaventure out of the shotgun. Wide receivers. There's that little shovel pass inside. They try to get it inside to Broughton. The tight end, no place to go. As again, coming up and making a stop, William Peebles out of Raleigh, North Carolina, number 58. He was Johnny on the spot.
You didn't think Jason Hatcher knew that play was coming too, did you? Watch Hatcher he's in Broughton's hip pocket from just about the start. Actually comes around on the stunt, picks up Broughton. And you're right, William Peebles right there.
Oh, he was right on the money. Peebles, by the way, against East Tennessee State, had 6 tackles for losses and 4 sacks. By the way, that 6 for loss tied an Appalachian State record.
Also earned him Defensive Player of the Week.
Avery Hall had previously held that record alone before being joined by Peebles at App State. A short punt this time does get a good Paladin bounce. Gets it out to about the 49-yard line, and Appalachian State will take over 1st and 10 after the punt. The 3rd consecutive punt here for Furman. 3:53 to go in the first half. A 14-3 game is our score here in Boone, and you can see they're starting to bundle up a little bit. The clouds have come in, temperature going down a bit. Wind, by the way, has been rather light here this afternoon, however.
It's a beautiful fall day. Got all the trees changing colors.
It's a gorgeous part of America, period. Appalachian State wide receivers. They've got 4 of them, 2 each way. And the snap comes back. Release valve is Scott. Instead, they go to Otis Smith. He fumbles and can't come up with it, and he's really upset with himself. And let me harken back to Anthony Smith. And Otis came to school as a walk-on and really kind of played in the shadow of his brother. Did indeed leave school for a while, brought back, and now he's playing and is under scholarship.
I'll tell you, the problem right here was really that you got a crossing pattern that Smith's wide open on the pattern. Andy Arnold threw it a little bit too hard. If you saw Andy after the play, he was tapping himself on the shoulder saying, my fault, my fault. I'll put a little more touch on it for you next time.
That one, by the way, was at the 48. He was probably trying to throw to the 38. That's how hard that pass was. 2nd and 10, stack running backs. Scott and Hooks. Hooks gets the call. Hooks to the outside. That's that little slide play they like very well. As he slides to the outside, first man reaching is Jeff Norman, who makes the defensive stop. You know, Norman is playing with a hurt as well, losing part of a finger in a accident in the dorm on campus at Furman.
That's right. We're talking about there was some kind of freak accident. His finger caught in the door, so he had to have it amputated off. But he's out here playing today, so you know how tough this kid is.
Wow, just patch it up and let me go.
Patch it up and let me go, and let me get back to class.
Third down. Did he really say that? Third down, 3 yards to go. I'm sure he did at Furman.
I bet he milked it for a day off of practice.
Scott is the lone running back. Arnold in this third and short sends Blue in motion. Here's the handoff to Scott. He'll get to the 40. And then with some second effort against Jeff Norman, just powers his way down to the 38 for a first down. And that's the second effort try, again by a young sophomore, Scott, out of Cedar Grove, North Carolina, Orange High School, that's going to pay some dividends down the road for the Mountaineers.
If you're Jerry Moore, you got to love this. You got a guy that not only can carry the ball, but he doesn't mind blocking. Every head coach looks for a running back that doesn't mind the block.
You know, speaking of being in good hands, their quarterback of next year should be Scott Satterfield, who probably could start for a majority of the clubs in the Southern Conference. He started 7 last year. When Arnold was hurt this year, he stepped in and did well. Arnold's back in there. Nice little reverse. He comes back to the near side. Donnie Blue at the 10. Knocked down from behind. Making the fine stop is Hintz. He had 6 points tacked on for Appalachian State. That was a well-designed play for the Mountaineers. Everything went right. Arnold just came back left, and Blue was absolutely wide open.
Sam, this is the same misdirection play we saw earlier in the day that they threw to score a touchdown. And once again, about in the same kind of territory also. Come back again, they run it wide open. When you start getting Furman overcommitting the way they have been to try to stop Chip Hooks, this is the type of play that's going to open up.
First and goal to go for Appalachian State, leading 14-3 with 2:20 to go before the half. Arnold with Scott and Hooks, the stack backs. Back and Hooks gets the call and slides to the outside. He's got the quickness to the touchdown, and he's got it. Seven-yard run by Chip Hooks puts 6 more on the board for Appalachian State as the cannons go off in Boone, and they'll try the extra point, leading 20-3.
Tell you what, Sam. Chip Hooks once again doing it. Gets right close to the goal line and puts goes a little ghost right there. Breaks a hand tackle, is in. I tell you, if they score many more touchdowns, they are going to let you shoot the cannon.
I don't think so. It'll be Sutton trying for the extra point. Out of Quinn's Hall, the kick is up, and the kick is good. So Appalachian State has struck for 3 consecutive touchdowns to take the lead 21-3 just before the halftime break with 2:07 left to play. You knew it probably was just going to be a matter of time, but you had to give a great deal of credence to the fact that Furman's defense really came to play early on, but then the execution of Appalachian State, and another thing also, getting a little better field position as well, helped them to get certainly the intercept, set up a touchdown, good punt return, getting the ball at midfield, sets up this one. They lead it 21-3.
You know, one of the things that happens when you're playing as well as Appalachian State has been playing is that you kind of get used to winning in a big way. It's almost like it gets easy, Sam. And what happens is you come out to play and you don't really play as hard as you're used to playing. They come out, Furman looks really good to begin with, but they just don't have the experience to really play 60 minutes, just like Coach Bobby Johnson wants them to.
By the way, Southern Conference and U.S. Air Freshman of the Week last week, defensive tackle Leander Dumas of Western Carolina. You see the numbers in a great game for the freshman. Again, our salute to Mr. Dumas of Western Carolina and the Catamounts. Ready for the kickoff now is Appalachian State will be kicking off. Tate and Cole are the 2 deep men here for Furman, and kicking off is Alan Gwynn. Gwynn hails from Scotland County High School in Lawrenceburg, North Carolina, and he has been kicking off, the last one going almost out of the back of the end zone.
He's got a cannon for a leg.
Nice thing about it for Jerry Moore and App State, he's only a sophomore. This one will not carry quite as deep. Cole comes to the near sideline. Josh looking for a wall, will battle it back to the 19. That'll be where the Paladins will take over, 1st and 10. And we'll see if Mr. Bonaventure is able to air it out here with the final 2:02 to go before the halftime break. Back to Gwynn just for a moment. Jerry Moore was telling me that they had a great punter. Certainly you know him from Atlanta. Is Mr. Alexander, Arnold Alexander. Now Harold Alexander, excuse me. And he was a guy that punted the ball very well, leading the nation at times.
That's right.
And they say right now that Gwynn is very comparable to Alexander at this stage of Alexander's career. That's quite a compliment for the progression of this young sophomore. Out of the shotgun is Bonaventure. There's the little inside handoff. They try to move it to the outside and do. Fumbles on the ground, but I believe the ground caused the fumble. It did as Culpepper, Brandon Culpepper, was the ball carrier, number 35. Nice little inside move. Culpepper now running the sideline with one shoe off and one shoe on, so he knew I wanted to stay in there. Barney Lynch has to replace him.
Watch how tough Culpepper takes up in the middle here. There's a good little shot on the side of the head there and keeps on going. Right there, Coleman actually tries to strip the ball, which is a great thing. You'll see defensive backs do.
Gain of 9 of the play, 2nd down and 1. They'll stack the running backs. Lynch is the short back. McClarty is the tailback. It's McClarty, and he has absolutely been covered and smothered this year. And this time it is going to be down. And coming up off the bottom of it is Coakley for 1. Also getting up number 90 is Mark Ivy. So Ivy and Coakley collaborate on another stop behind the line of scrimmage. A loss on the play of 3, make it 4, and it's going to be 3rd down and 5. Appalachian State's going to stop the clock with 1:09 as they take a timeout. And will force this 3rd down play against the Furman Paladins, who are frantically trying to get themselves into the game. ASU's improvement so far this year, and thus a 3-1 record. They have improved their punting. We made mention better hang time by Quinn. Also, they're a much faster football team. On the defense, we've seen that. Offense, we've seen as well. They've got deep threats, certainly in blue and company with a young bevy of people. And also, they have not had a sack in a drop-back situation. Credit to the offensive line for Appalachian State so far.
Great credit to the offensive line. The 3 sacks that they have had have actually been accredited for what one was. Quarterback was Philly Jones was, excuse me, Arnold was rushed out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. The other 2 were actually covered sacks, Sam's, where there just wasn't anybody open. One of their attributes that they have on that team also is they've got depth. This can be a team that's going to be powerful for the next couple of years, not just this year. And they have a bunch of guys leaving. They're going to be around for a while.
Bobby Johnson looking on for the sideline. You see that App State has already outscored their opponents in the first half, 120 to 27. Matter of fact, scoring 101 points in 2 consecutive games. Bonaventure, there's a late pitch. That one's on the ground. And D. Bernardo comes up with a fumble recovery as the bad pitch by Bonaventure sets up another possibility of a score for Appalachian State. So the 6th possession of the afternoon for Furman comes up with bad results.
It's supposed to be a quick little option pitch to your tight end, Luther Broughton. It just goes awry. Broughton doesn't get the pitch. It was just a bad pitch-quarterback relationship.
Good look at the young sophomore out of Miami, Florida. And again, injured early on, comes up with another big play. And on the 7th possession of the first half, Appalachian State takes over at the 19-yard line in Furman territory, leading 21-3. They've got time with 1:03 on the clock. Blue in motion. Handoff hooks. Flag is down before the play ever got off. Possibility of a procedure penalty here against Appalachian State.
So we were talking about having depth earlier with your quarterbacks, Andy Arnold, Scott Satterfield. Just like you said, you can go to either one of them. That's a good situation to have if you're a head coach, because you can rely on either one. But these guys actually room together. I mean, they compete for the same job, and they actually room together.
So the 5-yard step off against Appalachian State.
False start. It's the offense. It'll be 1st and 15.
1st and 15.
A bad snap back to Arnold. He gets it off of one knee and tries to throw it out to Scott. An incompleted pass. And I tell you what, that play was aborted from almost the start, but Arnold made something happen out of it.
Very start, too. He almost had a pretty good-looking play there if he could have got it in the hands. Just a bad center-quarterback exchange. And that'll happen from time to time.
Keep in mind that Bequette now is the center and throwing into a shotgun back. And it's a little difficult to do that if you're not used to it.
It is. You get a certain rhythm between your starting center catalog and between your quarterback when you have a change in a position like center, throwing the ball back there. And don't forget, he's got to snap the ball, step, see, he's making reads across the line where the defensive guys are, snap it, and then go make his block. So it's not as easy as it looks.
Second down, 15 yards to go for Appalachian State. Clock is stopped with 54 seconds to go in the first half. Arnold, little screen over the middle. They go to the tight end, Vollmer. Vollmer takes it down to the 15 and takes a whole host of them. I think the busload of Paladins finally brings him down at the 15-yard line.
Listen to the crowd.
Wow. Vollmer, by the way, came in at about a 200-pound 6'3" sophomore, and now he's just now reaching about 235. We had him listed 218. They say he's about 235, 240. Look at this moose.
He is huge. That's what you want. I love an offense that utilizes the tight end for the passing because they are just big guys that will go across the middle.
Gain of 10 on the play. Back is Arnold. Running for his life now. He's got the first down. He may have a touchdown. He does. App State score.
And Sam, here's where you see the momentum of Appalachian State really starting to take it out on Furman.
15-yard run by the fifth-year senior Andy Arnold.
Rolls out to his right, pumps it and pulls it down, goes back to his left. Watch him pump fake it again, get the freeze, and then turns around the corner. Great play by a very polished quarterback.
Nice little step there. Good look at the Bristol, Tennessee quarterback.
Very cool head.
Kick is up, and it's good. Jay Sutton puts it through. He's knocking it in. As he's gone 3 for 3 this afternoon and make that 4 for 4, and they've got the lead by the score of 28-3. So App State and Yosef, along with the cheerleaders, now having to do their traditional push-ups.
The traditional push-ups. Every time they score, they got to do as many push-ups as on the board.
You know, this offense could kill these guys. You realize that?
I tell you what, the cheerleaders are going to be stronger than some of the ball players after doing all these push-ups this year.
You know, the last 2 home games for Appalachian State, they've had rain, and they've had very poor crowds. Today, they were hoping to get around 15,000, 16,000. It'll be a little under that, however, but nonetheless, they've had quite an afternoon here for Appalachian State. Not a good day for Furman, but first half, a football game does not necessarily make.
Well, that is what Bobby Johnson's trying to tell his guys right now also, is that you've got to play a full 60 minutes. Anything can happen. You can get points. You can come back from deficits. Those things have happened to both sides here. And that's what Furman's got to think about. And they've also got to understand that they've got a young team, and they've got to continue to get better. They can't lay down and not use the type of techniques that they're being coached, not run the plays the way the coaches are telling them how to do it.
A couple other finals in now. East Tennessee State has bombed the Citadel 56-34. That's a final. And Marshall, who led, I believe, 47-7, 49-7 at halftime, finished that way over VMI. And Georgia Southern, now with 47 seconds left to go at Western Carolina, trail the Catamounts 35-31. They call them the Rally Cats, and it looks like they may be doing it again in Killowee as Western Carolina comes back for a lead of 4. Wow.
Great one to watch.
What a game that must be. Here's a short kick. They just try to lob it over the front line, and it comes up in the hands as they move it straight ahead and in the open field. And taking the football, number 21, that is Rick Ford, one of their wide receivers in Appalachian State that time, trying to just dump it in with only 3 seconds to go. And Ford actually got them within probably 5 or 6, 7 yards of a possibility of Jim Rector field goal try.
I wonder why you wouldn't just kick that thing as deep as you could like they have been and back them up into the end zone. Personally, I don't really understand that, but Rick Ford does a great job of running it back and getting excellent field position for Furman. And that's what you want to see, too. You don't want to see anybody giving up.
Furman is going to go for a field goal try as you see Murray State in Eastern Kentucky next Saturday at 3:30 as the blitz continues right here on Sports South. Ohio Valley football at its best. Murray State and Eastern Kentucky. Rector will try it 52 yards away. The kick is up as the time will wind down. It's off to the left and no good. And that's the end of the first half of the game. So it ends on a try. Had plenty of room as far as the distance is concerned, but finally comes up with not enough through the middle. And it has an opportunity for Appalachian State to go through, by the way, their brand new tunnel that the players collected the money to buy here at Appalachian State. First time they've had this tunnel. The coaches had the Mountaineers painted on the side. They say it's really given them a good closeness and something new for the Mountaineers, and that's what they are building on here with a good tradition under, again, Jerry Moore. Let's go to the sidelines now. Jerry Moore is down low. Let's go to Joe.
Joe Pequeno down here in the sidelines with Coach Jerry Moore of Appalachian State. Coach, you got to be impressed with your defense and your offense in the first half.
Well, we started playing good toward the end of the first quarter. We played pretty solid football through the second quarter, but made a lot of mistakes early in the ball game.
Do you see any changes for the team in the second half?
We got to get some guys healthy. We got 2 or 3 guys beat up right now. Our trainers fixing to have a lot of work to do at halftime.
Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Back upstairs, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Appalachian State winners of 6 of their last 7 football games, including 3 in a row at the end of last year. Have a lead in this beautiful picture postcard setting in Boone. 28-3 at the halftime break over Furman. We're back in a moment.
Joe Pequeno down on the field here at Appalachian State, and I have the pleasure to be here with me, Penny Robertson. She was a student at
Southern Conference College Football is being brought to you by U.S. Air. U.S. Air, we know it begins with you. And by First Union. Welcome back once again to Kid Brewer Stadium here in Boone, North Carolina, on the campus of Appalachian State University, as it's 28-3 with the Mountaineers on top of the Paladins of Furman, and they've exploded at the end of the first half. I am delighted to be joined by the Chancellor of Appalachian State University, Dr. Francis Borkowski, who joins me here at the halftime break. And the college atmosphere, Doctor, is something to behold here in Boone, North Carolina.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's an exciting game, and of course, everybody's really revved up about it.
This is something not so new for you, certainly, in the administration, but certainly at Appalachian State. And tell us about what you first thought about when you came to App State and what you tried to accomplish here.
Well, the first thing is that I've been very impressed with the institution, and I think maybe few chancellors can say that I'm more surprised and pleased with it than I was when I took the job. The faculty's very strong, the students are just outstanding, and a lot of loyal alumni and a lot of loyal supporters to the place. Our goal is very simple, and that is to prepare the future leadership of the 21st century. And we've got a good team to do it.
You know, one of the things also in the southern region, Appalachian State has been pointed out as one of the top universities in the southern region. Very nicely done.
Yeah, we're very, very proud of the various rankings that we've received. U.S. News and World Report has now placed us 9th among 168 universities in the South. And we feel that it's gaining more and more national and indeed an international recognition.
Well, the students, along with all of your alumni, enjoying this afternoon with the lead. I know one of the things also that's dear to your heart, of course, are the arts, and certainly in music. Coming here as a very accomplished musician yourself, and let's talk about the arts program here at Appalachian State.
Well, the arts program is broad and varied and just outstanding. Our School of Music last year had something like 130 performances. We just have a good arts, the theater, the dance program, our faculty in art are outstanding, and it's a very live, intellectual, creative place.
Doctor, one of the other things that's very good about the Southern Conference, certainly all of our universities, not only your own getting singled out by U.S. News and World Report, but all of the universities are getting very high marks, not only for the academics, but also the student life itself, and that's a big plus for everybody.
Absolutely. The quality of life here, of course, is just outstanding in the mountains, and the students who come here normally take good advantage of it, and we're getting a high-quality student here. We had something like 8,000 applicants for 1,700 positions this past year.
Is there good rapport between all of the universities as far as the give and take, as far as what we do well and what you might be able to accomplish at your university? Is that going good in the Southern Conference?
Very, very well indeed. My colleagues, the chancellors and the presidents of the universities were really a tight group. And I'm very proud of the conference, the quality of athletic play and the quality of the academics at all of the institutions. It's a good conference.
Well, Dr. Francis Borkowski, the chancellor here at Appalachian State University. By the way, the chancellor did not bring his clarinet. He played with the Symphony Orchestra in Indianapolis, Indiana. But again, we'll try to catch that on another show. Doctor, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. Good being with you.
We're at halftime. Appalachian State enjoying a 28-3 lead, and the crowd's enjoying the band at halftime as well. We'll be back with more of our halftime show right after this timeout. You see the halftime score, 28-3, with Appalachian State enjoying the lead, but it came rather begrudgingly as the Paladins defense playing very well. Their offense started to bog, and the fast break defense of Appalachian State started to pay its dividends. Sam Smith along with Ben Utt as we're high in the press box area here in Boone, North Carolina, and you overlook these beautiful mountains of Western Carolina as we take a look at you from up in the booth. And a great day for football, but a big day for Appalachian State. They have turned on all the cylinders right now, Ben.
Appalachian State continues to play the way it has the last few weeks. It gets better and better. Defense is clicking, offense is clicking, special teams is having a big day. They've got to be happy with the complete program that they put together in the first half. Now, of course, they got to come back out and do it for 30 more minutes.
One of the things about Appalachian State, for the first time, they've really installed a full special teams coach, which has certainly turned them around from that side of the coin for Appalachian State.
Absolutely. Tom Yeoman's the first full-time special teams coach that they've had, but he's doing a lot of things to keep them fired up, too. He's giving away, there's an award called the Hammer Award. It's a big black sledgehammer you get if you have a big hit on a punt, and then you get a T-shirt called the Piranha Club if you're on the kickoff return and you have a big hit. So he's doing things to really make special teams feel like they are an integral part of the entire team and not just kind of the stepchild to the offense and the defense.
Well, they may have to have a lot of those hammers before this is over for Appalachian State. Maybe, however, Furman's going to turn it around in the second half. We're here to find out. Right now they trail it in beautiful Boone with a score of 28-3. We're back with more on Sports South in a moment. Moments away from the start of the second half. Bobby Johnson's now with Joe Pequeno. Let's go downstairs and get his comments. Joe?
Thanks, Sam. I'm here with Coach Bobby Johnson. Coach, your team played a very physical first half. You're a little down on the scoreboard. What did you say to your boys in the half?
Well, we got to avoid giving them opportunities to put their pressure on us. I think we got away from our game plan in the second quarter and didn't run the ball as effectively as we did in the first quarter. So, we just got to get a little tougher and a little mentally tougher, I think, to have a chance to win this ball game.
Your impressions of the redshirt sophomores' first half play, Brian Bonaventure?
Well, we ask him to do an awful lot, making checks when they're going to blitz and do certain things, and he's had a little problem with that. So we got to make sure he's got a simple game plan to execute in the second half, and I think he'll come out fine.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Bobby Johnson of Furman University. Back upstairs, gentlemen.
Thank you, Joe. And, of course, he still has enough time to try to turn this around. They played well here at Appalachian State. You see there flying high right now for the Paladins, trying to get things going in the second half of the game. First half belonged after a slow start to Appalachian State, and Andy Arnold proved he's got some pretty good speed at QB here.
Andy Arnold can do it all. He can take the ball, hand it off to, here's Chip Hooks, going around the side for a nice touchdown. Andy Arnold's doing a great job of running this offense also.
Andy Arnold running the attack here for Appalachian State. And again, the handoff this time goes to Scott. And Scott, another one of those fine sophomore backs.
Here's a guy that pretty much plays in the shadow of Chip Hooks. But when you give him the ball, he can run it. When you ask him to block, he can block.
And finally, it is Arnold going over the top. Good catch here by Otis Smith.
Great cut down blocking. Great protection by the offensive line. Nice vertical leap by Otis Smith, who you're going to see a lot of this year in the end zone.
Stats in the first half of the ball game. I thought an interesting number here was Furman's time of possession, 18 minutes and 17 seconds. However, a couple of turnovers, an intercept, and a fumble, both leading the scores for Appalachian State.
But look how lopsided the rushing yards and the passing yards are, 55 to 105 and 30 to 108. And of course, that shows right up there on the scoreboard.
Appalachian State, the best defense in the Southern Conference right now, yielding only 237 yards. Right now, only 85 given up to Furman in the first half. Well, Furman deferred for the second half, and they'll get the football as Brandon Bonaventure waits for his opportunity to go on the field, and the ball will be kicked out of bounds. A couple of options off of Quinn's kick is certainly to have him kick it over or take it out at the 35. Let's see what Furman elects to do. And they say they want it at the 35 for their field position. I was just looking at their field position in the first half of the ball game. They actually got a good one out at the 45. Then they had to take it at the 13. They're 6. Back at their own 19, at the 20, and again at the 19. So they really didn't have a great deal of good field position in the first half at all. So the procedure penalty against Appalachian State. Furman comes out quickly to the line of scrimmage, and Brandon Bonaventure will bring his team to the line of scrimmage. Carter again will line up as the fullback, and McCartley will be the tailback. McCartley has really been held in check here so far tonight. Carter has been the guy who's had a pretty good workhorse day. He gained some yards early on, but now Chip Miller puts a stop to a 2-yard run.
That's John Settle right there, yes. John Settle, you're the all-time leading rusher here at Appalachian State with He has over 4,000 yards, and is being inducted into the ASU Hall of Fame. So congratulations, John. Also played for the Atlanta Falcons and for the Washington Redskins. Was a walk-on.
John has settled. Again, one of the good ones for the Mountaineers. Gain of 2 on the play for the Furman Paladins. 2nd down and 8 yards to go. Again, they work that middle play to Carter. Carter again gains only maybe about a yard at most.
Sam, Bobby Johnson said something really important to Joe down on the field earlier. He said Philly Jones having, Brian Bonaventure has had a little trouble checking off, calling the audibles, or the correct audibles anyway, against this fast break defense, and he's got to get into a little bit of a rhythm and kind of figure out which plays are going to work and which plays are not going to work against a defense that brings just about everybody every play.
Bonaventure will come out of the shotgun in this situation. Back there with him is the tight end, Broughton, number 84. He'll be used as a blocking back in this formation as wide receivers come 2 to the left side. And Bonaventure's looking that way. And he releases to the near sideline. Broughton coming out of the backfield as the receiver takes it to midfield, and a 1st down for Furman. Nice call. Broughton normally used back there as a blocking back. That time slipped out of the backfield as the coverage went downfield, and they got caught before Tony Perry could make the stop.
And this is exactly what Bonaventure's going to have is a little bit of time to throw the ball. And this is really what Broughton does best, is catch the ball. He still needs to get a little bit more experience on the blocking side, but a great catch, good spin move by a big man to get upfield.
Huger, South Carolina, his hometown, 6'2", 240, and just a fine sophomore 1-year letterman. Bonaventure, McClarty carries it straight ahead, and they work it out. Tim Sorrells, the offensive coordinator, making the calls in the booth upstairs for Furman, while on the other end, several of the defensive people, including Steve Patterson and John Wiley, are helping call some defenses. Up here in the booth, Ruffin McNeely, the defensive coordinator for Appalachian State, is on the field.
Also, Sam, I want to say one more thing about John Settle. Besides the fact he's just a great ball player, he's also a free agent. And any dog that's long in the tooth like that, but mainly something that players love to have. He's the only guy here at App State to ever have his jersey retired, number 23.
Wow. Maybe a few more before this program gets too much older. They've had some good players come through here. There's a flag down just as that play got off. I would imagine that Harold Alexander may be one of those that, even though he did not score a lot of touchdowns, still was one of those premier All-Americans that came out of Appalachian State. The Furman jumped off before the ball was snapped. And they do. 5-yard step off against them. So the game they had a moment ago is wiped out. It'll bring up a 2nd down and still 10 to go. Just underway 3rd period. Sam Smith along with Ben Utt. But a 2nd down. A National Football League player with the Baltimore Colts, later with the Indianapolis Colts and the Atlanta Falcons. Nice to have you in the booth again with us here, Ben.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Having fun.
By the way, we were hoping later on, before this game is too far over, to kind of look at guys like Brian Fisher, a fine blocker for Furman, and also on the other side, Brad Orton. Just got to pick up some of their techniques. We'll try to ice on them before this game is over. Out of the shotgun, Bonaventure with a 2nd and 10. Plenty of time to throw, and he does to their sideline. Cole has it just as he gets a hold of the football. Tony Perry gets a hold of him and spins him down after a gain of 6 yards on the play.
Cole's having a big game. He is there when you need him.
He's been kind of like one of those guys that has just kind of filtered in all the rest. He's been the guy. Harrison is their normal good wide receiver along with Ricky Ford.
Yeah, and Ricky Ford had a great kickoff return earlier that was kicked short, but haven't really seen him in the mix as far as catching balls out there on the side from the offense. And Rick Ford is in the game right now.
Appalachian State brings 5 men up on the line of scrimmage. Coming across, making some contact that time, and a jump off was Broughton. Broughton almost went on the first sound of Bonaventure, and that certainly was not the right one when he came across, wisely so. Man out on the corner just touched him, and that is the offsides.
That's all you got to do is touch him, and it is offsides. And usually on a tight end, if he does something like that, coaches will tell you, go in motion, do something, but don't just stand there and let everybody know that you jumped offsides. Make it look like it's part of the play.
Tough place to hide when you're out there, though. Broughton at 6'2", 240.
Tough place to hide. That's a good way to put it.
So just as they gain 5, they lose 5 again on the penalty. 3rd down. They'll need 7 here for the Paladins. Clock is stopped with 11:44 to go. 28-3 our score, with the Mountaineers leading on their home field here in Boone. 28-3 the score as Bonaventure throws under duress and gets a strike straight ahead, and the man making the catch out is Harrison, and he is nailed by Johnny Smith, and Bonaventure is also down.
I tell you, that's tough because you do not want to lose Brandon Bonaventure in this game. Great slam pattern by Harrison, picks up the first down, but you don't want to see Bonaventure go out because you got to drop down to your third-team quarterback, Chris Jonas, who just really does not have the experience, especially to pick up the type of blitzes and the stunts and the different looks that this App State gives you.
Well, Jonas was a fine high school athlete at Berry High School in Birmingham, Alabama, but he is a true freshman, and he would be the only man that comes in with Philly Jones on the sideline, and Bonaventure took a shot. I believe it was Larry Dennis, number 31, that came in and hit him just after the release of the pass.
And I just think that Jonas, bless his heart, he's not going to see defenses like this like he did down in North Carolina in high school.
While they look at Bonaventure, let's go downstairs. Joe Pequeno with a guest downstairs. Joe.
Thanks, Sam. Down with Roach Olaney, the athletic director here of Appalachian State. And Roach, you've got to be impressed the way that your team has played in the first half.
Well, we had a great second quarter. We started off slow and then turned it on the second quarter, but we've got a lot of football left here this afternoon.
You've got to be impressed the way the team, last year they started off the season 0-7. They pulled together, won the last 3 ball games, and now looking like a Southern Conference juggernaut.
Well, we're very pleased. Coach Moore and his staff have done a tremendous job. We've got a good group of seniors, good leaders. They have great chemistry, and that's showing out on the field. They're having fun, and we're winning.
Some people say the Southern Conference is the best program in Division I AA football. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. I'm on the South Region rankings, and in the Southern Conference year in and year out, we're up at the top of those polls, and rightly so. We've got tremendous football.
Tremendous football, and Appalachian State right now is tremendous on the scoreboard. Thank you, Mr. Laney. Good luck to you in the rest of the program. Back upstairs, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Put on the field. While all this happened, Jonas did come out as the quarterback replacing Bonaventure. You saw him walk off the field. But again, a little different call in the cadence and a procedure penalty against Furman. And now Bonaventure comes back on as Jonas, getting his helmet off, had one play. And unfortunate for him, had a penalty, a 5-yard step off, 1st and 15 for the Paladins.
And that'll tell you how tough number 11 Brandon Bonaventure is, too.
Bonaventure out of Orlando, Florida. Number 11. Here's the pass to the near sideline. Comes to Ricky Ford. He's in the open field at the 30. And finally banged out of bounds. Coming up is Matt Stevens, number 45, who finally made the angle tackle on him. But a nice little pass and run that time by the Paladins.
That's great. Once again, the same little play where we've seen the misdirection and then the comeback. Roll out right, pitch it back left. He just goes and follows him behind his blocking. PV leading him down. He needs to get on his hip. And here comes Matt Stevens.
Tell you what, coming back to make a heck of a block was Harrison, number 81. He really let that time Ford kind of cut inside of him. And you see the young man out of Marietta, Georgia. Good look at him as they run it straight ahead to the Paladins. And they have some new life here in this third period with 10:45 to go, trailing 28-3. And on a march as they gain about a yard on the play, 2nd down and 9.
Sam, really, Furman can't do those things that are not indicative of Furman. And what I mean by that, this offside penalties, holding penalties, things like that, the little mistakes that if you're not a better team talent-wise than the guys you're playing against, you can't give them the easy stuff.
Backup wide receivers, both Davis and Cole split right and left. Davis to the far side, Cole to the bottom of your screen. Bonaventure checking off at the line of scrimmage on this 2nd and 9. I think he had a check off and nobody filled the hole. He was looking, I think, for McClarty to come through the middle, and McClarty moved to the outside, and Bonaventure actually made a couple of yards out of a play that was just not there.
Yeah, I think if we see the replay of this, you watch Bonaventure pull out, hold it out for the fake, which nobody picks up. Nobody picks up the fake to hide that. So you got 2 big guys in black jerseys just waiting there for you, licking their chops. So Brand did the smart thing, and that was just to close his eyes and duck it up on inside.
You see Dennis along with Sean Elliott. They've been 2 stalwart players today for the fast break defense of Appalachian State as they stack 8 on the line of scrimmage. Bonaventure back has some time, now forced out of the pocket. He's being chased. Buys some time. He throws to the end zone. Backside. Cole was there but couldn't get to it. Oh my, make that Harrison, number 81. Boy, he was there. The pass just out of his reach.
Well, it's tough to throw when you're running full speed.
He bought some time pretty well here.
Furman is just having some breakdowns with all these folks. Miller, Peoples, Hatcher, everybody running through there, putting the pressure on him. And it's tough. A quarterback needs to be able to roll out, set up, and plant a foot and throw.
So Jim Rector will come on. This time the Field goal try will come from the 23, a 33-yard try. He's made 1 of 2. The first one was blocked. This one's up. Plenty of leg, and it's good. So a 33-yard field goal by Jim Rector is the only scoring in the second half, and it's 28-6 as the Paladins cut the lead a bit with 9:23 to go in the third period. We're in Boone, North Carolina on Sports South. We'll be back in a moment. Well, they're waving at you no matter what their affiliation and hats might be here in Boone, North Carolina, with the Florida Marlins hat showing up in Boone. But there you see the score with App State having a big day today.
Where'd you get that crazy hair?
That crazy hair. Those curling irons will do that every time.
Every time.
9:23 left to go in the third quarter. Sam Smith, Ben Hunt, you see this panorama here are the beautiful mountains that are located. Matter of fact, the biggest mountain you see there is right behind the downtown area of Boone. And, of course, Appalachian State sitting on a little hill of its own here. And the Appalachian State Mountaineers setting on a 28-6 lead at the moment. And the Paladins will be kicking off. Kicking off for them will be Ben Schneider. Back deep are Coleman and Blue. Coleman on the near side, Blue on the far side as Schneider gets ready to kick it off here for the Paladins. And Ben, you made a good comment during the break, is the fact that the Paladins coming out, at least they put some points on the board, which shows that, hey, the offense, they really want to do what they need to do.
That's right. You got to keep, you want time possession, you want to have good statistics. Even if you lose a game or you're behind, you want to keep doing the things that you came here to do, and that's play football.
Schneider kicking to Blue, 2 yards deep in the end zone. Blue has had a 73-yard return with a punt for a touchdown. This time reaches about the 13, and a swarming group of Paladin players from Furman make the stop. And a first man down off the top of it is number 6. That's Mark Tate was down. Defensive back to make the stop. You see the time of possession, 6:17 for the 47 yards before the field goal try. Field goal, by the way, was by Rector and not Schneider. For the field goal for the Paladins of Furman.
That's really what Furman wants to do, too. They got to have time of possession to keep the ball out of App State's hands, because these guys are a threat to score again.
Their wide receivers come to the near side, including Otis Smith and Blue. Now they take a man in motion. As they roll it to the far side, drop it off inside on the carry. Nate Abrams was the man in motion, number 27. Faked it off to him, and a gain in the play. They'll give him about 5 yards. It'll bring up 2nd and 5. They move it out beyond the 20-yard line.
Sam, that's just one of your bread and butter plays on every offense. Just a regular slant play inside the tackle or between the guard and the tackle hole, off the left or off the right. Damon Scott runs it perfectly.
Smith coming once again out to the near side. Appalachian State running some new receivers in. Number 84 is Kevin Burton, number 84 in the slot on the near side. One lone running back, and it's Hooks. Hooks with a carry and gets the 1st and 10 out to the 31-yard line. Boy, again, we pointed out, does not have the blazing speed that you equate with a guy that leads his team in rushing, but look at the cutback ability this man has.
Where you got the offensive line blocking, opening up holes, going from the defensive lineman to the linebacker, and Chip Hooks just makes a really nice cutback play. Takes a good lick.
Andre Hintz making the initial stop there for Furman. First down for the Mountaineers. 8:15 third period. They lead it 28-6. Stack running backs. Arnold's back to throw. Protection breaks down, steps out of trouble, goes back into a screen, and as they get the play out, a good defensive play coming up, and it's going to be made by Todd Kramer, number 41, as they got the ball out where they wanted to get it in the hands of Smith. He had no place to run.
Great defensive play, but watch Andy Arnold right here. Pull back, step up into the pocket, and then step to the side to elude number 64, the defensive tackle coming in, really for the sack. Just got overcommitted, throws back across the grain. Damon Scott, good defensive play when it comes stick.
It was indeed, and that was Kramer. By the way, the charge was put on by Brian Dyler from Winter Garden, Florida, as he put the pressure on Arnold, who stepped away from it. He's out rolling once again. Arnold will step out of bounds just in front of the man that steps up, Cavis Reed. Young man we featured on the top of the show. Reed with 1 interception and 30 tackles so far this year, number 25.
Nice little rollout that they've been doing all night long. They get that Furman defensive end's hands down on the ground to open up the passing lane. There's really just nothing there because they've got great defensive coverage. Arnold's got to pull the ball down and run out of bounds.
He sets up a 3rd down and roughly about 3 yards to go. As the ball is at their own 38-yard line for the Mountaineers. You see the numbers on Andy Arnold. 7 of 14, 101, has 1 touchdown. That going to Otis Smith in the first half. Option down the line, pitch to Hooks. And it depends on where they spot that football down. It looks like it's going to be very close. Where the ball finally ended up was well ahead of the change, but as the knee went down, they spotted it right back at the 41, and that'll be very close to the first down.
You're right, Sam. He pulls it down, just runs a quick option play here. And Hooks, who's got a pretty good little turn there and some good leg strength, pops through the arm tackles. But I think you're right, when the knee goes down, makes it really close. They give it to him.
Ryan Taylor making the stop there from behind, number 64. He's just a freshman and a red shirt, so he's got a bright future there. 6'4", about 220. And they do have enough for the first down, as it was just the nose of the football. 1st and 10 for the Mountaineers. Now they start to wind some time off of that clock. Just under 7 minutes to go in the 3rd period. Arnold to Hooks. And Hooks again, who came in 78 yards shy of the number 2 rushing title here in all time of Appalachian State. Carries for a gain of about a yard or 2 before he's stopped by Reggie Williams, the nose guard for Furman. By the way, when ASU scores 14 points or more since 1985, not a bad record. 79-2. 70 wins, 9 losses, and 2 ties. Wake Forest and Furman, the only 2 teams they had tied. Plus 14 in 92, they were 7-0. 93, they were 4-4, and they're 3-0 when they score 14 or more. They've got 28 on the board right now.
I think they already got the 14 that matter, huh?
They did.
For that stat.
They did indeed, leading 28-6. Back is Arnold. 2nd down and 9. He's throwing for Smith. Oh, what a try by Smith down at the 20-yard line.
Tell you what, Sam, those kind of plays right there are what can light up the scoreboard. These guys are going to be doing this kind of stuff all year long. They've still got a lot of the season left. But right now they're starting to air it out a little bit more, stretching the field, really trying to see what else they can do besides what their normal package is to come in and really play against a regular team like a Furman.
By the way, we've just had a final score. Western Carolina has defeated Georgia Southern 35-31. The Rally Cats have done it again.
The Rally Cats. I tell you what, I thought Georgia Southern was kind of starting to put the thing back together too.
Now when you got to go to the western mountains of Western Carolina, Rally Cats did it again. Western Carolina wins by, again, 35-31. Arnold on a 3rd down play. He's throwing for Blue. What a catch by Blue at the 28. Did he catch it? No, the referee said he never had possession when he hit the ground. And Blue, I think he's upset with himself, but I also think he might have shaken himself up when he really hit that turf hard.
He might have hit the turf, might have landed on the ball a little bit too. What a great play, though. Great pass protection. That's where it all starts at, in a big delivery by Andy Arnold, right on the money. That's a good call.
Yeah,
that's a big league try, though, by Don Blue.
I think the ball just was kind of coming out of his hand right to the left side of his helmet and on the ground when he was still trying to get a hold of it. Well, as they try to administer here to Donnie Blue, who came up with a great try on the long pass, setting up a punt situation. Let's take a timeout. The Mountaineers 28 and the Paladins 6. Don't forget, next Saturday, the 2 winners up today, Marshall that came up with a big win over VMI, and the Rally Cats of Western Carolina that won over Georgia Southern today. They'll meet in Huntington, West Virginia, as the Southern Conference continues with a blitz on Sports South. 7 o'clock next Saturday for the Southern Conference Game of the Week. Game of the week has belonged so far to the Mountaineers. This punt, by the way, by Quinn will interrupt 4 consecutive touchdowns that they had on the last 4 possessions. Long kick down goes to Cole. He fumbles it. And it goes out of bounds at the 2-yard line. As if Furman needed any more problems, they get another one as Cole can't feel it, and he's really disgusted with himself.
That is a tough break for Furman, a really tough break.
So as Furman will take over the football, they'll have it 1st and 10 in the shadow of their own goalpost at the 2-yard line and trailing with a score of 28-6 on Sports South. Furman unfortunately digging themselves a hole, trailing 28-6 as Josh Cole just could not come with this one over his shoulder.
That is such a hard thing to do, catch a ball out of the air like that in the first place. But then to have this happen when you're struggling to kind of get back and get some respect, it makes it tough. It makes it really tough.
Cole looking for a Goodies headache powder down on the sidelines, I think.
No.
1st and 10 for the Paladins, again at their own 2-yard line. They've had a field goal by Rector. Their scores, 2 of them, 1 back in the first after a blocked try, and then to their first drive of this quarter. And again, they work L.Q. Carter running at the fullback out to about the 5-yard line.
He's impressive because he gets those yards when you really need them.
Yeah.
He shoots up through the holes, is ducking and kind of weaving, just a strong running back with good leg drive, but he's getting the yards. And right now it's important because they've got to get away from the end zone.
You know, LQ actually had quite a bit of play time. He's a senior, and it just slowly but surely started to go away. Now he's getting another try at it. He's 5'9" and 196 pounds, so he's got a low center of gravity to try to bring down.
It's not real big, is it?
Not indeed. At 5:07 to go here in the third, they try to get some more running this time. They get it out to McClarty, and that's probably the best run McClarty's had all day long today, as he has run right into Johnny Smith. And also to Matt Stevens, already has an intercept for today. Let's go downstairs. Here once again is Joe Pequeno. Joe.
Well, Kevin, sorry, Sam, I have a little injury update for you. Lee Drake, offensive tackle for Furman. He has a sprained ankle. He'll be out of the ball game the rest of the day. It will be x-rayed this week, and on Appalachian State's last offensive series on that play, Don Blue just had the wind knocked out of him. He's on the sidelines right now. He's drinking some water. He's doing okay and should be back in the ball game a little later on. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Joe. As you see, Jason Hatcher, number 44, just meet Mr. Carter in the hole, and there was no running room on that play.
I'll tell you what, if you're a member of this Appalachian State defense, who gets the award? I mean, everybody, they're sharing the wealth with everybody. Everybody's getting in on the tackle. Everybody's getting their name over the intercom, but it's tough to pick one guy who's really out there doing it all.
You kind of got that feeling in talking to Ruffin McNeil that was exactly what he's trying to do, is to spread that wealth around, and they're really building on each other, I think.
I agree with you. They're doing a great job. And I tell you what, like we said before, this is probably the most exciting defense in the Southern Conference right now.
You see what they've done to one of the fine running backs, McClarty, giving him only 25 yards this afternoon, and a little pass to the outside. It's caught. Maybe enough for the first down, and that's Cole trying to make up for his error he made a moment ago right in front of Matt Stevens. And where they spot it will determine if it's a first down or not. It's very, very close at the 25-yard line.
Little drop back throw to the outside flats. And a sweet catch. You want a guy that can keep his feet in bounds, a la Raymond Berry, that'll keep his toes in bounds and grab it over.
A great pass by Bonaventure. The only place that ball could be caught was the outside and not intercepted by Stevens, and he threw it right there. Nice throw.
That's something that a veteran quarterback will do. They know where to put the ball. You want to put it on the other shoulder, away from that defensive back.
Well, apparently also a penalty has been thrown on the play as well. It's a big step off against Appalachian State here. A 15-yard penalty. And that appears to be a personal foul at the end somewhere, but we'll wait and get the official call from down below. Ruffin McNeil to the far right side of your screen there. Right there. Good look at Ruffin. Boy, he's intense. I watched him in the film session yesterday, and he is intense.
And App State has had some penalties, too. They had, up before this game, 34 penalties for a total of 339 yards. But the surprising thing is that 3 of those penalties came on celebrations.
Interesting.
Celebration penalties, huh?
Good play by Jackie Avery, number 98, as again they tried Carter on the little trap up the middle. Gained maybe about a yard in the play, as after the 15-yard step off on the penalty, it moved it to the 40. It's out to the 41 with 3:30 to play in the game, 28-6. The Mountaineers with their black, gold, and white on their home field here at Kid Brewer Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. They lost to Furman 27-21 last year, 16-3 the previous year. Last time they won was overtime, 26-23 in 1991. Long pass intended downfield to Harrison. He was very well covered, and Bonaventure again takes a seat courtesy of William Peebles, the young man out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Until you got to take your hat off to Bonaventure, because he's hanging in the pocket, he's delivering the ball, and he's taking the big hit, but he's still hanging in there. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Jim McMahon, just a guy that's tough, still gets back up.
Doesn't play golf that well.
Probably doesn't have a good handicap as Jim. Probably doesn't get as much time on the greens.
Jamie Coleman was the defender back there against Bobby Johnson's fine receiver Again, Harrison has a 3rd down and nearly 10 again here for Furman. Shotgun. Bonaventure in the pocket. He's letting it fly. Intended for Harrison. Overthrows him badly. Back there defending as they run several people was, again, Brian Jean Mary out of Apopka, Florida. And he was back but didn't need to be there as the pass was overthrown. It brings up a punt situation again for Jody Wade. Wade, just a freshman, 6'1", 180. So far this year has averaged just a shade over 35 yards. And today he has had but a couple of punts. They've had an intercept and a fumble. And, of course, the try on a blocked field goal and the other field goal good. The punt fielded downfield by Blue. 2 flags are down as he is nailed just as he catches it on the 20-yard line. And it may be against Furman in the fact they didn't give him clear room to catch the football. We'll wait and see what the officials make the call on.
Cavis Reed has great timing as far as, well, I mean, if he didn't, I didn't catch if he signaled or not, but if he's just catching it,
yeah,
you can take his head off. Let's see if he gets his hand up. He doesn't catch. He doesn't signal fair catch. So he's fair game.
Well, I tell you, that was excellent timing by Reed, and that's what the discussion is going on right now. And it's going to be against Furman on the interference, and I would assume that have to be not giving him room to catch the football.
I don't quite understand that. I thought you got to get that hand. You got to wave it. You don't have to hold up your hand.
See if we can get the call here.
We got a 5-yard violation of the radius.
Interference on the bump return. Did not give him the 5 yards necessary to make the catch.
That's exactly what it is.
Nonetheless, you got to applaud Reed. He was down on the play.
He was down. That's the kind of timing you want too on a special teams play. Right when he's catching is to take anything away that you could possibly build up.
So the 8th possession for Furman goes awry after they took it from their own 2-yard line. But they finally give it up at the 25 on the other end, where Hooks will get the call, and a flag is down as he carries it out for a gain of about 5 yards. Good look at Andy Arnold. Arnold, you see, with the tape on the right thumb himself, so he's been banged up. He and Satterfield have kind of shared the quarterbacking honors this year, and every time you talk to Jerry Moore about what might happen next year, he said, I'm just worried about this year, but next year, yeah, I do have a pretty solid quarterback in Scott Satterfield to run the attack.
Yeah, he's got to be happy with that. Got a holding call. Anytime you see a flag come over the top like that, it's usually one of the big, good-looking offensive linemen grabbing somebody's jersey, pushing him down.
Holding on the offense, 10 yards, spotted the foul, replay first.
What you're saying about Satterfield, really good point. He and Andy Arnold they room together. They both prepare like each one could start each game together. Of course, Arnold is the starter, and Satterfield understands that. But the great thing is that you've got 2 guys really helping each other. No animosity there. They really don't discuss football in the dorm room when you're living together. But great depth. That's exactly what you want for your head coach.
Appalachian State, 8 penalties for 60 yards total they've had on them today. Furman, you see, 3 for 46. And a first and 10 yards to go here for Appalachian State. Lone running back behind Andy Arnold. Wide receivers double on the near side, and they throw it out to Donnie Blue. Blue looking for someone to run, and I want to tell you, Todd Kramer, number 41, has been all over this football field for Furman. And the young senior, second-year man out of Marietta, Georgia, Wheeler High School, makes another big defensive play for the Paladins.
Todd Kramer gives plenty of room to Don Blue out there, gives him some cushion. But as soon as he sees it's a little screen pass, outlet pass, he comes up, closes force, and there comes the rest of his guys around.
You know, they actually play a rush in and a drop in. And that time it happened to be the drop in that he was playing and dropped back. Then when he saw the screen, he came up, supported very well, and made a good play out of it.
Yeah, they call it a 50 defense, but it's really a little blend between the 50 and the 4-3. The fact that you got one outside linebacker who's always down, and the other one's usually up that drops back into coverage.
This time it is the pass to the near side, and they get it out to the near side to Hall. And Kendrick Hall went down to try to catch it. Maybe he should have gone up. He's a 6'10" high jumper and has had some pretty good reception so far this year. And they really look for big things from Kendrick Hall as well. Young man from Athens, Georgia, got out of the grasp of the Bulldogs there.
Too, with a high jump like that, that's the guy you want if you ever have to throw that big Hail Mary pass. Go down there in the crowd, let him jump out of the middle.
Can you imagine some of those this year we have seen? Hello, how are you?
Hey, Mom, I'm making all A's.
Yeah, reluctantly, the young man is going to have a cheer here for us. Minute 32 as the clock is stopped in the third period. 28-6 is the score. Appalachian State again enjoying the halftime lead at 28-3. A field goal by Rector, and that's been in here in the third period. Field goal by Rector, a punt by the Paladins. Early punt by Appalachian State, and now they're third down and about 20 needed here. They get about 22 for the first down. Out of the shotgun, Andy Arnold. Wide receivers, double on each side. Blown back to Blackbourne is Scott, and Arnold is not going to get out of the trap this time, and guess who? Kramer. Todd Kramer out of Marietta, Georgia, comes up to make the stop again and gets the sack.
Great call by Steve Wilson to bring Todd Kramer up off the outside on a blitz, which is apparently, you know he's going downtown with the thing when it's 3 and 23. They make the call. Todd Kramer comes off the outside, gets the sack with a little help from Valier.
So it's punt time out of his own end zone by Quinn. Let's see if Furman's coming after it in the end zone. They've got 10 of them up on the line of scrimmage. Lone man back, I believe, is Harrison back at midfield. They did not come. Good blocking. Look at the hang time on this. Harrison does call for the fair catch and does as he falls forward to the 39. So excellent field position by Furman, and guess what? Trailing with a score of 28-6, the Paladins have not checked it in Boone. We've got a 46 seconds to go here in the third period. They'll get the ball in excellent field position after the punt.
Now that's how I thought that you're supposed to call for fair catch. Get your hand up, wave them off.
That's right. Get out of here. Saw that ball kind of dying. There's no wind. The nose of the football just kind of turned under and was going away from Harrison that time, but he made a good play on it. Bonaventure has the stack running backs. He has Lynch in there at the fullback. McClarty, the tailback, who gets the call. And will get only about a yard. Center the line. DiBernardo. I'll get it right here. DiBernardo. Try it again.
Joe DiBernardo, number 50, inside linebacker, making the stop on a play.
Shoot yourself in the damn butt. I know it, but they put tight over there. That guy moves out tight up, just watch TV. You gotta be strong. Pass it. Don't back too much. Just kick, slide back there and post his ass up. We shoot ourselves in the foot.
See what he's telling me? He's telling him to kick, slide out, and punch him out to keep him out. Talking about pass protection right there. After all the plays, you're going to get your offensive line or your defensive line, whoever it is, over there on the sideline and regroup and talk a little bit about what just happened that last series to make sure that whatever breakdowns you had, you can fix the next time you get out there.
So as the linebackers step right up in the middle, Bonaventure just lets the clock go away. And it does at the end of 3 periods here in Boone, North Carolina. Well, they're celebrating here in Boone, 28-6 with Appalachian State. By the way, the hair designs furnished by Bubba's Hair Salon here in Boone, North Carolina. As student life is running rampant here in Boone.
Hey, who's winning the game, huh?
Furman right now is trying to get themselves out of some trouble as Bonaventure starting his 4th period scrambling for life and is not going to get away once again from Peebles. So Peebles coming up with another stop as that time Bonaventure having to run out of all kinds of trouble. Had a lot of people down. I guess you almost have to give that to a secondary sack as well. They covered extremely well.
Well, secondary sack and just the fact that there's pressure coming in from the outside that originally makes him run out of the pocket. So that kind of breaks up all the routes that the receivers are running, and they try to break it off and get over to the left side of the field to help him out some. So really that first little bit of pressure where he rolls out kind of starts the breakdown.
Chip Hook's offensive fine ball carry looking on as the defense is doing their job. Fast break defense so far yielding only 6 points. Bonaventure on a 3rd and 13. He's airing it out. They're throwing it deep for Ford, and Ford just can't get to it. Back there defending once again, coming up number 45 is Matt Stevens.
I tell you, Matt Stevens is wearing people like an overcoat. He is on them. He's a good defensive back.
Well, as you enjoy football today, here's a reminder coming up on Wednesday night, October the 19th, college soccer returns on Sports South as UNC Charlotte, one of the top teams in the country, by the way, travels to Creighton to battle the Blue Jays. Live Wednesday, October 19th at 7 o'clock p.m. only on Sports South. Sam Smith along with Ben Ott as we join you back here at Kid Brewer Stadium with the Paladins forced to punt. Wade gets one off this time. They will not try for the feeling of the football as Coleman just let it go over his head and bounces out of the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20 for the touchback. So as the Mountaineers once again will take over at their own 20-yard line. They're 80 yards away from what could really be the backbreaker, 28-6 here in the 4th. Right now, one of the mascots here at Appalachian State trying to become a television spectator on the sidelines, winding cords.
Joseph.
He was trying to get on the camera a moment ago. Matter of fact, he said, you know that big guy in the booth, Sam? I said, forget it.
You're not going to duke it out of the game. Me and Yosa, we're going to get us a beer.
Appalachian State running for their own 20-yard line, moving, and you would imagine now in the fourth period with 13:51, is there a word in the dictionary that says conservative? You might see that on the part of Appalachian State, and it's going to play right in the hands of Chip Hooks, who needed 78 yards to go to the number 2 spot. He's going to get a lot of calls in this fourth period.
We were saying before at the game, or coming into this game anyway, they had scored 12 touchdowns on the ground already, so it's a good chance they may pull it down, start running timeout on the clock. But I tell you what, they've scored so many points in the last couple weeks. It'd be surprising to see them not still have the same package.
Scott, the fullback, Hooks, the tailback, gets the pitch to the outside. Matter of fact, when they scored 56 points against the Citadel here earlier this year, one of the problems is that actually Charlie Tapp took a little offense to Jerry Moore saying, hey, you didn't need to run that, but it was a naked quarterback reverse, kind of going the opposite way. And he said, hey, it wasn't a call play, it was a busted play, and Satterfield just ran it in. He said, we weren't calling to run the score up.
I'll tell you, there's one thing calling plays to either, so that you don't score points, but when you call a play and your athletes go out there and they execute it, if they can score, they're going to score. They're not going to stop at the 1.
You see another bump and bruise going on that time. Chad Groover, a young man from Winston-Salem, he, along with several other players, have graded out as high as 85, which is the highest grade for an offensive lineman this year. And you see why they grade out high with those kind of numbers on the board right now for Appalachian State. 240 yards so far.
One of the great stats that these guys, the offensive line anyway, have when they're being graded game to game is the pancake block, which if you take somebody and you put them on their back and they're very strict about it, they can't be tripped, they can't fall down. You have to actually pick them up and put them on their back. They count that, and you get extra points for that. So, and they've got about 6 of them right now, so you know how good these guys are.
National Football League, a little tough to do that for you, wasn't it?
Oh, I tell you what, you take an edge in the NFL.
By the way, replacing Groover is a young man by the name of Danny Bentley. Bentley out of Clyde, North Carolina, has replaced him at right tackle. As Scott splits out after a carry for the first down, moving it out beyond the 30 to the 32-yard line. Arnold going the opposite direction. He's got some room to throw. Smith coming underneath. He throws instead, coming out to Abrams. And Nate Abrams makes the catch and runs out of bounds with the football. Another first down for the Mountaineers.
They've got a lot of weapons to throw to. And once again, we see this misdirection play with the naked rollout. And he throws it to the receiver coming back across the field.
So another first down for the Mountaineers as they move it to the 45-yard line. And again, another fine catch on the outside. It was not Abrams, but Abraham who made the catch. Nate Abraham, who has been in and out of the lineup and is now filling in for Donnie Blue, who was shaken up earlier in this half.
And they must have used this play action pass about 10 times today.
Arnold, straight back, and off to Hooks. Hooks changes that ball from the right to the left arm because he knew he was going to get hit from the inside, and carries it out to near midfield.
And Briar Dowling coming up with the stop and having a good game for Furman. I'd say one thing also, when you get ahead like this, when you've been scoring points like App State has, you get a chance to really roll a lot of people in and out, so you don't have guys that are coming off the bench without any experience. Everybody gets a little bit of playing time.
Second down, they'll need about 6 yards, maybe 5.5 for the first down, just shy of midfield. Scott and Hooks split running backs. Behind Arnold, they give it again to Hooks as he stumbles his way across the line of scrimmage down to about the 48-yard line. Never really had his footing. By the way, Groover is back in there, number 52. Still kind of limping a bit, but he is back in and was blocking on that left side. By the way, speaking of Appalachian State scoring, 56 against the Citadel. 2 weeks ago was the most versus a Southern Conference school. 63 is the all-time record against Davidson back in 1986. And with that 56 points with the Citadel, they had 45 against North Carolina A&T. That's 101, the most since 1971 in back-to-back games. And you saw the numbers on Hooks. 87 yards rushing. He has now become the second all-time leading rusher in the history of Appalachian State as Arnold runs on the 3rd down and 3, and he'll be short as Furman stretches out the defense, would not let him turn the corner on the outside. Hardwick coming up, number 8, making a nice play on that. Also coming over, Gibson was there, and Tate also came up to support defensively for Furman and the Paladins.
Great cut block by number 71, Dave Pastusa, to get the outside man down and open up that option. You hate to see this, though. Roger Colvin, defensive tackle down.
Colvin, a senior, 2-year letterman out of Birmingham and Berry High School.
He was one of the few leaders, or really one of the senior veterans, as to say, on a very, very young Furman defense. So you hate to lose any type of leadership like that.
You know, you take a look at the score as they take a look here, and again, good closeness by the team players for Furman. Once again, for Colvin is down. You take a look at a 28-6 game, and again, our first Union player of the game will be naming a little bit later, and it's a little difficult to say, well, was it the offense or was it a guy on defense? So, you know, a guy that I would think probably has to come up and get a little bit of my vote anyway happens to be Matt Stevens, who had to have the big game because of, I won't call it a GOAT, but certainly he was upset with himself the last couple of games against Furman. He's come up with a nice interception. He's made some good plays in the secondary. That would be just one of the candidates for Appalachian State.
And I think there's only, on defense, I think there's only 10 other guys that might get a mention. But, you know, when things happen like happened to Matt Stevens before, when you get burned for a touchdown or things like that happen, your buddies, they gather around you. They'll rib you for a little while, you know, give you like a bomb award or something like that, or give you a burnt piece of toast, something like that. But they always come back and try to rally around and really, really hope that you have a game like Matt's had today.
They were looking mostly at the right ankle of Colvin. Big 6'1", 266-pound senior, 2-year letterman for the Paladins, and he's been a real horse in the trenches, as you pointed out.
He's a tough kid, one of the few leaders and one of the very few experience on this defensive line for Furman.
Jerry Moore, who, along with his wife, built a home in the mountains here of Boone, North Carolina. So he just likes a little serenity at times when he gets away from everything that's happening. It's a 4th and short, and that means that Alan Gwynn is the deep man to punt. However, watch for a snap to the short back. Possibility. Who knows? They're up trying to come after this one. They do get the snap back, and the punt will get off. And look at the hang time again. Nobody down there. They backpedal, and Appalachian State's going to be able to down this one inside the 5.
Great punt.
Steve Carson once again working some special teams numbers, and he'll get special singled out this week. He's done a good job as he downs it inside the 5-yard line at the 4-yard line, where Furman again in the shadow of their goalposts will take over, trailing here with 10-11 to go, 28-6. In the 60s, and a big day for the Mountaineers, though, as they'll move to 4-1 with a 28-6 lead, and their fast break defense has certainly shut down Furman, that goes with a shotgun start once again here with Bonaventure, the quarterback, number 11, in his own end zone. Flag is down as he releases it outside. Broughton was the tight end, never had possession as he loses it out of bounds, but a flag in the end zone, and that could indicate a possible hold on Furman. Appalachian State more than likely would rub the play off and take the down, since they're deep in their own territory at the 4-yard line.
I'll tell you what set this whole thing up was that great punt and Steve Carson getting down there to keep it inside and out of the end zone. Did exactly what he was supposed to do. Cavis Reed could have done the thing on the last punt.
10 minutes and 5 seconds to go.
Holding on the offensive team. From the spot of the foul. Safety.
So it's holding in the end zone. It's a safety for Appalachian State, adding to the score to make it now 30-6. So again, a hold in the end zone in this 4th period. And the woes of Furman continue here as they're down by 24.
Tell you what, great defensive play. You always want to have your defense score in any way they can.
Let's take a look at it and see if we can pick it up here, Ben.
Yeah, there's a big hold right there on the right-hand side of your screen.
So add the 2 points on for Appalachian State, and of course a free kick by Furman. And again, the cheerleaders, along with Yosef, having to do the push-ups here. And again, each have to do 30.
I tell you what,
push it up here.
I tell you what, you can't see Ruffin McNeil right now, the defensive coordinator, but he's sitting over there on the sideline of App State, and he is loving it right now. Anytime his defense scores, he gets excited as any player down there.
You know, it's interesting. Several of the students furnish the staff, and particularly Coach Jerry Moore, who says, Sam, I can't eat many of these. They furnish them cookies on game day. And Ruffin came in and says, where's the cookies?
Ruffin can eat them.
Well, I tell you what, he's enjoying a successful day today for Appalachian State. Not to, of course, take away anything from Furman. This is a young football team. Bobby Johnson inherited a team from Coach Jimmy Satterfield that did have some very big youth holes to fill. He's got 3 legitimate freshmen starting on the front line defensively. That should tell you a little something about what's going on now. At a very young club, he loses your starting quarterback in Philly Jones. Bonaventure has done well, but Watch out. Bobby Johnson, Furman, great tradition. They'll be back.
They will definitely be back. They've got, and the thing about it is everybody's getting experience now playing.
Scott gets the short kick and takes it out from the 35. Almost got to midfield where he'll take it to the 49. And Appalachian State, again after the free kick and the safety, will have the ball in excellent field position. Joe Pequeno once again downstairs. Joe.
Sam, I got an injury update on Roger Colvin, the defensive lineman for Furman University. They took the tape off. He's got a slightly sprained ankle. They're going to tape him back up. He wants to come back in a ball game, and he wants to let his mother know that he's okay. Back upstairs, fellas.
Thank you very much. So, Mom, he is okay. That word coming from the sideline here. 1st and 10 for Appalachian State and the Mountaineers. This is Satterfield in there now. He throws, tries to get it to the outside, forcing it to Vollmer, the tight end, and Scott Satterfield is going to get some time behind quarterback. Young man from Hillsboro, North Carolina, Orange High School. 3 touchdown passes, has run for a couple, and actually has completed 52% of his passes this year for the Mountaineers.
I'll tell you what, you can go from Arnold, you can go to Satterfield, you can go back to Arnold. You're not going to lose any production by using either one of these guys. And it's good that Satterfield's getting experience with the starting offensive line, too. There's a lot of continuity there. There's timing, there's cadence, all those kind of things that if you got to come off the bench and win a game that you want in place.
Well, this is quite a run for Appalachian State. Furman today. They go to Georgia Southern next week, and then will host Marshall here on the 22nd. So some big Southern Conference games coming. Here's the handoff to Hooks. He is not going to catch John Settle, but he's not going to give up with a few yards today. He's going to try to crack that 100 mark. He, by the way, has been over 100 yards rushing 14 times in his career, and he's approaching his 15th of his career today. As he carries it out to the 45-yard line, a gain on the play of right at 6 or 7 yards. Hooks comes to the sideline, a little limp there. Looks like he's all right, though. By the way, he brought a couple of bushel baskets of apples into the athletic offices of Appalachian State. Mr. Hooks took his fair share along with the others yesterday. Here's Satterfield trying to run on the option. Almost had kind of made up his mind a little early that time, Ben. Really kind of came down the line of scrimmage very shallow, and that gave Furman a good opportunity. As coming in is Darrell Smith, who came in to make the stop there from North Augusta, South Carolina High School.
Really no play fake either, as far as is it a pitch, is it a handoff, as far as running that option play. And you got Furman just swarming the ball.
You know, one thing that Furman may do is they force Appalachian State into punting again. They may not give up the 400 yards as they have the last 3 games. 425 last week to Western, 464 to William & Mary, and 423 to South Carolina State. They have really, at times, had some very good defensive play. A bad hop for Appalachian State, a great hop for Furman on the punt by Gwynn. It bounded inside the 15, hops back out to the 20 where they'll spot it. First down for the Paladins of Furman. 8:23 left to go in the game. Our score is now the Mountaineers 30 and Furman 6 on Sports South. Sam Smith along with Ben Utt. We greet you once again from Boone, North Carolina. Appalachian State, you see the score with the Mountaineers on top 30-6 right now. They scored 4 consecutive touchdowns, set up by 2 turnovers in the first half, and all 4 possessions of the second half for App State have been punts. And Furman takes over the football, 1st and 10 at their own 20. McClarty trying to get some running room, and does before he runs into Dexter Coakley, one of the linebackers. And boy, they've had a great linebacking core today. Makes the stop for the Mountaineers.
I'll tell you what, this Appalachian State defense could beat some teams on Sunday right now. They are playing on all cylinders. Linebackers, you can't say enough about them, but what's really freeing them up is the great play of the defensive line.
Davis split to one side along with receivers doubled on each side. Here's a nice pass to the outside, and it's going to be caught falling out of bounds as Bonaventure made the delivery. Coakley was out here covering, and the man coming up with the reception is Harrison. And it may be enough for the first down for the Paladins, who often start to try to catch on. Well, young and old, they've enjoyed the game here in Boone. Good contingency, by the way, of Paladin fans have made it up here from Greenville, South Carolina. They're wearing their school colors across the way, and they've stayed to the bitter end here with us with 7:50 to go in the game. First down for Furman. They come out of that same set with Bonaventure in the shotgun. 1st and 10 at the 34. Snap back by Graves. And a little pass to their side, and they try to get Ricky Ford open again. It wasn't going to go anywhere. At that time, Jamie Coleman came up. Drawing the strong safety spot for Appalachian State and makes the stop for the Mountaineers.
And Sam, Rick Ford needs one block from Jack Owens to break that thing about 20 yards. When you set those kind of timing screen patterns up, you got to get that one guy out there to get the first block. He knocks over the first domino. Then he's going to be able to get yardage. But when you miss that thing, gets through, gets a hand on you, and you're down.
Harrison comes flanked to the near right side. Bo Davis goes to the other side. Numbers on Bonaventure. On a second down, a little over 10 to go as they lost a yard. They give it straight ahead to Lynch. Barney's in the open. He's got it at midfield to the 45 and powers his way down to the 43-yard line. Barney Lynch, who just came off the bench as the fullback again, just takes a little quick opener, and the offensive line does the job before Tony Perry, number 25, can bring him down, and Furman does not need this. They've got another player down, and it is Lynch. Oh, a nice 25-yard ramble by Lynch.
See what, he was almost surprised when he broke through there, popped through the line of scrimmage, and kept going.
Joe Pequeno down on the field. Let's go downstairs to Joe. Joe?
Well, Sam, you know, this game kicked off at 3:30, but for some, it started out way earlier in the day. And as you look behind me, you have several fraternity banners. These groups were out here early on, cooking the burgers, getting the groups out there, tossing the football around in support of the app program. And as we look to our left, we have a tiki banner on top. Talked to somebody in their fraternity, Todd Lamb, the president. He said that that's been a tradition going on since the early 80s. So the fraternities here at Appalachian State have been very supportive of the Appalachian sports program. Back upstairs.
Thank you very much. You see all of the other fraternities, sororities, and the work they have done here at Appalachian State, and they are kind of bucking the trend so far. Appalachian State has not beaten Furman in Kid Brewer Stadium since 1984. Wow. Furman has owned this stadium 7-2-2 over the last 11 games. And again, they still try to see if they can get Lynch up here, who was shaken up on the last run of 25 yards here for the Paladins.
That's tough. You don't like to lose folks like this. Typically, you'll see some of these happens when some injuries like this happen, Sam. The team will get down. You start playing a little bit sloppy. When you really need to do is try to crank it up another notch, turn the volume up just a little bit more to make sure things like this doesn't happen. You don't get these kind of cheap injuries.
Douglas Sarine along with Eric Dowdy have been our statisticians in the booth today. Of course, we always like to thank our fine television people, all in the front and in the back of the cameras. They always do a great job to the men and women of Sports South. Thanks for the job well done today from Creative Sports Production.
Thanks, guys.
Well, as they enjoy the afternoon here, we remind you that coming up next, as the Blitz continues on Sports South, Tennessee State will go to Eastern Kentucky. That'll be coming up at 7 o'clock live right here on Sports South. Don't forget, next week we've got a great Southern Conference game coming your way as well here on Sports South, as Western Carolina and Marshall will hook up in next week's Southern Conference game of the week. Handoff, Carter. And I tell you what, either the middle of the defensive line of Appalachian State is letting down a little. The offensive line of Furman is starting to block much better because that opening has been there on the last two plays in particular.
I'll tell you what else. LQ Carter has been getting his yardage all day long whenever they've gone to him.
Defensive calls coming from the sideline here from Appalachian State. They're on the sidelines. There's Coach McNeil, defensive coordinator, for Coach Jerry Moore here at App State. And off again to Carter. Little trap over the left side. Gets into the secondary. And it's going to be Niehazel will make the defensive stop there. Young man from Somerville, South Carolina.
You got some good blocking going on right now by Brian Fisher, number 59, Jim Peavy, 73. Over there to open up those holes on the left-hand side. And they've got a little bit more experience over there than they do on the right-hand side with Saunders and Owens.
By the way, Graves, the starting center today, replacing the normal starter in Mike Jordan, a transfer from Tennessee and Marietta, Georgia, has played this entire game, number 63 at center for Furman. Well, they try that handoff up the middle this time, and I guess you go to the well one too many times, and the barrel suddenly becomes empty.
Sam, I'll tell you what, this is William Peoples again, and we mentioned earlier in the game how quick he is off the ball, how he can time the snap. He got across that ball through the gap and was in the backfield before the play even had a chance to develop.
Well, you saw the numbers earlier on Peebles, named as the Southern Conference USA Player of the Week in the Southern Conference. Also, for his 4 sacks, 6 tackles for losses last week against East Tennessee, the National Player of the Week for Appalachian State. Nice honor for William Peebles.
Great game.
Here's a 4th down and 3 situation. They go straight ahead at Carter. He's not going to make it at the 35 as they tried to force it up the right-hand side, and the fast break defense settled in and did their zone tackling that they needed to, and a stop was made. And the man coming up to make that stop again is going to be Mark Ivy, number 90, was the first guy to reach him in the middle, and it's a 1st and 10 for Appalachian State as the defense turns it over to Scott Satterfield and company.
You know, Sam, whenever you're watching a football game, you always kind of think, well, what would I do in this situation? How would I go against this Appalachian defense? I can't figure any ways to get around those guys.
We'll see some new running backs in the backfield here. Satterfield, the quarterback, comes to the outside. They try to get it to Hooks, who is staying in there. One of the new blocking back in there with him is going to be number 40, and that is Aldwin Lance, number 40. As Hooks got a couple of yards with a flag thrown right at the line of scrimmage, stopping the clock with 4:52 left to play in this afternoon's game.
Probably going to get a holding call here.
It is holding against Appalachian State. Haven't made many mistakes today. They have been penalized a great deal, but mistakes have not been one of the things that have certainly held them back. Yeah, they've had a pretty good afternoon here today.
And typically penalties will be one statistic you want to look at.
Offense, 10-yard spot of the foul, still be 1st down.
Penalties are a statistic you want to kind of pay attention to because it will determine your outcome sometimes. But these guys are so big in the giveaway, takeaway area. They dominate in that area of getting the fumbles and the interceptions that penalties really don't matter.
You know, with his penalty stepped off against Appalachian State, one thing that Jerry Moore would like to have in this half, his teams had gone 4 consecutive punts here in the second half in their 4th possession. Yes, they have the big lead, but they'd like to get something positive going to kind of carry over to next week's game when they've got to go down to Georgia Southern down in Statesboro. So offensively, I'm sure they'd like to get something going. Scott, once again, making the carry on the football as he carries it out for maybe a yard, and that's about all.
And also, you want to do that, Sam, when you've got your second-team quarterback in there, when you're running other players in who aren't your regular starters like Hooks or some of your offensive linemen. You want to keep that momentum going. You want to make sure that you can score with anybody that's in there.
By the way, Furman will be at home against the Citadel next Saturday. And on the 22nd, they'll travel to VMI. Next game's ahead for Furman. Satterfield back to throw. He's throwing incomplete. Great hit on Hall. As back there was Tate, number 6, Mark Tate, number 1 tackler for this club. Well-timed play. Just as Hall got a hold of the ball, Tate got a hold of Hall.
Straight drop-back pass, got pretty good protection. He lets it go. Now we're talking about Hall's vertical jumping. Jump, what, 6'11". Oh. And, nice shot right in the ribs. What you hate to do is have a quarterback throw it too high over your head where your arms are straight up in the air and there's nothing but ribs. Because those defensive backs, they put the bead on it.
They've outscored their opponents 171-45 so far this year. Appalachian State certainly trying to climb into contention with Marshall, Western Carolina, as it turns out now, for the lead of the Southern Conference. Hall's going to gather this one in, and it's a completion out near midfield. Boy, you talk about throwing that ball on a string. Nicely thrown by Satterfield, and Hall just took it in stride and steps out of bounds.
Great run and catch. Almost looks like they came back for a repeat of the last play that didn't work. Throws it up, and like you said, puts it on a string and right on the money.
Pretty good coverage by Tate right at the sideline, and up for a 1st down as they needed some good yardage here.
And now they're doing what we were talking about, keeping the ball moving, keep that momentum going, making sure that everybody can run this offense.
Offensive line again giving him plenty of time to get what he needs to do. Behind that line is a handoff again to Hooks. Hooks runs to the midfield line, and that's going to be on all. I'm going to tell you, he was cracked as he reached that midfield line. Coming to make the stop was Marcus Morgan. Ooh,
nice look by Morgan.
Let's go downstairs. Joe, what do you got for us?
Well, I've got an injury update on Roger Coleman. I just talked to him a second ago. Asked him if he wanted to say any words. He said that he's done for the day. He's going to go back in the locker room, shower up, and come back out and root his teammates on. Team player all the way. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Joe. Job well done today, my friend. Getting a lot of the color and the action and updates on the injuries from the sideline for us today on Sports South. 2nd down, 5 yards to go. Satterfield again, handoff to Hooks. Still running for that 100. He's well over that number today as he carries it down inside the 45 to about the 43-yard line.
Mark Tate going to make the stop. I'll tell you what, Furman's got so much to work with, so much potential, not just on defense but on offense also, that they've shown today. As soon as there's a little bit of experience and a little bit of continuity or gel.
Well, that's exactly what they were going to do.
Very, very good.
Get Hooks over 100 yards. He's got 101, Ben.
Got 101.
103. He's been over 100 yards 15 times in his career, 3 this season for Hooks. And the job has been done. He's out of the lineup now. Appalachian State enough by Hooks' carry. Gets the first down. Satterfield on the keep. He'll gain almost 9 yards on the play. Looking to pitch the ball. Willie McLean was the man who was running behind had he been able to pitch the ball. But Willie was the decoy, and Satterfield set sail for about an 8 or 9 yard run. They're going to give him almost 9, so it's second down and 1 yard to go for the Mountaineers.
I'll tell you what I like, Sam, is that Jerry Moore is going to go ahead and run Chip Hooks until he gets his personal goals. That's good. I mean, you pretty much got the game under control right now. Let's make sure that he gets this statistic, this personal goal that's important to him. That's good. That's good.
And of course, he's getting that in the middle of the football field. It's not like you're trying to run up some scores when you got it down inside the 10 too.
And he's not running out of bounds. Yep. He's not taking the easy way out.
They try to get the first down as they power it on the inside. Begrudgingly, Furman gives up maybe a half a yard. It's going to bring up a third down play. Running backs in there now are Lance and McLean, the 2 running backs. Ball has been one of the wide receivers. He's come out of the game. They'll stack the 2 running backs again. Lance is the short back. McLean is the deep back. Third down, yard needed. Satterfield under center. Takes it on the option. He'll turn it inside for the first down. Satterfield slides his way near the 20-yard line down to about the 22. First down for the Mountaineers. Also stops the clock with 1:08 left to play in today's game.
Comes out with the option he's been running all day long. He and Arnold gives a little fake out there to bite number 46 and takes it on the field for the first down and a little bit more.
Ballmer had been brought in as a tight end on that side, so they definitely knew that option was going to go that side and use Ballmer's fine blocking as the tight end spot. By the way, guys like Bentley, Porter, Bequette, who came in earlier in the game, Barbie, and several others have stepped into the game and done a good job here this afternoon. Pastusik also has come in along with McFall, and they've all done an excellent job as the guys coming in here in the latter part of the game, getting some experience on that offensive line. Satterfield rolling to the left side. Option again. He keeps down to the 9. Another first down. First and goal to go. Stops the clock again with 42 seconds to go.
Well, they're rolling these guys around, Sam, and that's important, too, because when these guys go out later on and they're hanging out with their girlfriends, they're going to get to say, well, you know, what I did during the game, I did this, I did that. Great replay here. You got the pull-in guards. Goes with the fake. Doesn't really even fake the pitch much. Just cuts on upside. He's got pretty good speed.
Does indeed, and of course keep in mind he and Arnold together a pretty good tandem at quarterback, as now they've got a first and goal to go. They spotted the knee down just inside the 10, so they can't get another first down before a possible score, and they've got 25 seconds to work with here. They hand off right up the middle. They give it to Lance. Lance battles down to the 3-yard line. That could be the last play unless Appalachian State elects to take the stoppage of the clock with a timeout. I don't think they will. Jerry Moore saying, nope, we're not going to do it. And this game will wind down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's over. And Appalachian State will win by the score of 30-6. They'll join Tennessee State, Marshall, and Western Carolina as winners today in the Southern Conference. Bobby Johnson along with Jerry Moore, they handshake at midfield. This one's over for today. But Furman, a young ball club, they know, as Appalachian State knows, will be back. But for today, the Mountaineers very much in the Southern Conference race. They win it today by 24. Well, there's your final scores. Appalachian State runs their record now to 4-1 as they defeat Furman by the score of 30-6. Furman now drops to 1-4 on the record, and Appalachian State again joins the other winners. East Tennessee, Marshall, and Western Carolina as the winners in the Southern Conference. You know, when we looked at the linebackers, well, we might have to toss a coin to find our player of the day, but it turned out the big guy in the middle turned out to be the man for Appalachian State.
Number 50, Joe DiBernardo, had a big day. Was all over the ball all day long, knocking people around, causing fumbles, recovering a fumble here, as you see. And he's just a sophomore, Sam.
That directly led to one of the 3 touchdowns in the first half for Appalachian State. You see the numbers on him, and there is our first Union Southern Conference Player of the Week, sophomore from Miami, Florida. Our congratulations to Joe and to all the fast break defense of Appalachian State. On behalf of all of us, Joe Pequeno down on the field, Ben Up, this is Sam Smith. Hope you've enjoyed our game today from Boone. Until we see you again on Southern Conference Football, our final score again, Appalachian State 30 and Furman 6. Till next time, Sam Smith. So long, everybody, from Boone.